Are you ready? ED-volution 2024 is here. Join the brightest minds, passionate educators, and leading experts from across the globe for 2 days of resilient and innovative education. From November 1st and 2nd, 2024. Get ready to immerse yourself with cutting-edge strategies, breakthrough technologies, and inspiring sessions designed just for educators like you. So whether you are passionate about collaboration, eager to explore emerging technologies, or committed to fostering innovation in the classroom, ED-volution 2024 is the ultimate platform for you. Engage with over 200 participants from over 20 countries, 30 plus speakers, and a world of ideas waiting to be unlocked. Don't miss this extraordinary opportunity to connect with the most innovative thinkers in education. This is your chance to be at the forefront of a movement that is redefining the future of learning. ED-volution 2024. Let's reshape the future of education together. Get your free tickets now.
There comes a time when we heed a certain call, when the world must come together as one. There are people dying. Oh, when it's time to lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all. We can't go on pretending day by day that someone somewhere will soon make a change. We all a part of God's great big family, and the truth, you know, love is all we need. We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones who make it brighter than day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we make a better day, just you and me. Well, send them your heart, so they know that someone cares, and their lives will be stronger and free, as God has shown us by turning stone to bread. And so we all must lend a helping hand. We are the world.
Are you ready? ED-volution 2024 is here. Join the brightest minds, passionate educators, and leading experts from across the globe for 2 days of resilient and innovative education. From November 1st and 2nd, 2024. Get ready to immerse yourself with cutting-edge strategies, breakthrough technologies, and inspiring sessions designed just for educators like you. So whether you are passionate about collaboration, eager to explore emerging technologies, or committed to fostering innovation in the classroom, ED-volution 2024 is the ultimate platform for you. Engage with over 200 participants from over 20 countries, 30 plus speakers, and a world of ideas waiting to be unlocked. Don't miss this extraordinary opportunity to connect with the most innovative thinkers in education. This is your chance to be at the forefront of a movement that is redefining the future of learning. ED-volution 2024. Let's reshape the future of education together. Get your free tickets now.
Make a brighter day, so let's start giving. Oh,
Hello, everyone. It's another wonderful time, and we're so happy to join you again today. Today's day two of the Evolution Summit, and yesterday we had amazing time listening with listening from experts in this industry, and we're able to have a lot of people yesterday joined us both as speaker and even as audience, and it was a really impactful section. Personally, I had my jotter so filled with a lot of information and nuggets, and today we are going to be having another wonderful section, and I want you all to get ready because we have a lot of stuff arranged and packaged for you today. Today we're having two panel discussions, and we having some other keynote speaking sections as well. So I want you to get ready because today is very much loaded. And without wasting much time, let me just dive straight into the introduction we have for today. I'm going to give us a walkthrough of what we have for today, and I'm going to be sharing with us things to expect in today's section. All right, so starting from Okay, so welcome again once again to Evolution 2.0. The theme for this summit is resilient and innovative education. We started yesterday, and today's day two. And yesterday was really remarkable and impactful. Today is another section, and it's going to be wow. Just get ready. If you have any question, feel free to drop it in the comment section. Introduce yourself. Let us know where you're joining from. We had a lot of participants from Kenya, Tanzania, Ghana, from the UK yesterday, and I want you all to get yourself ready for another powerful packed event today. So we are LearnTech Initiative Africa, and what we do basically we revolutionize education in Africa by leveraging artificial intelligence, games, and XR technologies. And so far so good. We are so passionate about what we do, and we are paving the way for a brighter future for everyone in Africa. So what we stand for equity, we stand for innovation, we stand for inclusion, we stand for the ethical use of technology, and we also stand for partnerships. And these are impacts. So far, so good. We've been partnering with schools, impacting educators, also be impacting learners, which they are the end time goal. And also, we host this yearly landmark summit every year with a clear mission to bridge the gap between the current state of our educational system in Africa and the digital future that awaits us. Right. So, and this summit is tagged evolution, the ed coming from education and the evolution coming from evolution. So bringing together education and evolution, we are trying to revolutionize education. So we have Evolution Summit, and today you will get to know more about that. We'll be speaking on innovative and resilient education, and that is what we have for today. So I want you guys to just get yourself ready. It's going to be amazing time to learn, to relearn, and even to unlearn. So we have experts, educators, innovators from various fields to explore the dynamic landscape of education. And I don't want to miss any part of this section today. All right. So last year we did this, and we have amazing people joining us to share from their wealth of experience. They're able to add values to educators, add value to the educational body. And today we have amazing lineup of speakers for us. Today we are going to be having like eight sections. This is the introduction, and after that we are going to be having a panel discussion, which focuses more on how to create a sustainable ethics solution. And after that, we'll be going to having the Shuffle Soft from Tanzania. They've got to exhibit the remarkable work they've been doing so far in the educational space. Then after that, we are going to be having the keynote section that will be delivered by Jennifer. Jennifer is the co-founder of EdTech East Africa. Uh, and I'm very much certain that this is a section you don't want to miss. Jennifer is bringing experience, expertise from diverse fields of education, and I don't want to miss any part of today's section. It's going to be loaded. And after that, we are going to be having a fireside chat with the best educator in Nigeria. So he got awarded the best teacher in Nigeria by Martina this year, and he has some nuggets to share. And I want you all to be part of this section as well because it started from the scratch. I know Esomnofu, and he's got a lot of things to tell us today. Then after that, we'll be having another wonderful panel discussion that talks about policy and research. How can we use this our policies and research to create a resilient and innovative education for Africa that also talks about equity, talks about inclusion. So all these things will be discussed. So we have power-packed sections for you. You don't want to miss any part of it. And after that, we'll be having Damilola Ojo to give a keynote section on on resilience, the gateway to the future. So how can you be resilient in everything you do as a startup founder, as an edtech expert, as an as a school administrator, as a school owner? So what are the things you need to put in place? So you should get ready for that session as well. And before you leave this call today, you're going to be leaving with a lot of information. Just like Dr. Brett shared with us, what is the next thing you're going to do? So you should be ready to put this thing into reality, put them into action. We are bringing all these people together to share, to make us see more beyond what we know, to make us have this kind of resilient and innovative mindset to create a better education for everyone in Africa. We know education is a gateway to whatever you just want to be. And this is an avenue for you to learn, to relearn, and also to unlearn. So don't miss any part of this section today. And if you have any question, just drop them on the comment section. We have people joining us from LinkedIn, from Facebook, from YouTube. So we'll be dropping all the comment sections and the chat box. And yesterday we had a lot of people from different countries. Oh, this is maybe from South Africa. Thank you for joining. We have Paul from Nigeria. So just tell us where you're joining from, your name, so we will add you to the comment stream so that other people will also be able to see. Thank you once again for joining us. And this is to say very big thank you to our supporters, our partners, Advice, CC, EdTech East Africa, Ulasine, Google for Education, Co-Creative, Co-Creation Orb, EdTech Orb, Team for Tech, Shufflesoft, Ubuntu Education, Nigenius, Edutab, Collegio Ikigai from Mexico, Firefly from Ghana, Teach for Nigeria. These are our system partners. They've been very supportive, and then with them we're able to do a lot. So shortly is about time to move to the first section of the day, and it's going to be a panel discussion. And I wanted to get ready for, this is going to, in fact, I want to go back to the backstage to learn from experts. I've met these people, they're amazing and they are very good at what they do. And I've really had them speak. You should also be ready to learn from them. All right. And thank you for joining us today. This is the team behind the ED-volution Summit. From Sheyi to maybe Excellent, Jennifer. These guys have been amazing. They just from different places come together to pull this through. I say thank you guys. So now let me quickly dive into what we have today. And we already have a lot of people at the backstage. Thank you for joining us, Chinyelo. Thank you for joining us, Mr. King. Hi, Chinyelo. Can you hear me? Hello, Chinyelo, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Damilare.
Hi, I can hear you.
So nice to be here. Thank you for joining us. And this is ED-volution Summit, and this is the first section of the day whereby experts will be discussing on sustainability of edtech solutions in Africa. And we are so happy to have Chinyelu to moderate this section. She is the educational practice lead at CC Hub, and then we have amazing panelists here to share and discuss with us. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Kimande, and thank you for joining the call, Inyagaki from Kenya. Yeah, she's doing amazing stuff with Team for Tech, and you get to learn and know more about all these things today. So, Chinyelu, over to you. Thank you, and I'll be at the backstage to also learn. Your mic is muted.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you.
Great. So, hello everyone. Chinyelu Apa here, Education Practice Lead at Co-Creation Hub. And it is good to have you all here. Welcome to day 2 of this summit. I hope you all have been following and listening and learning. And I promise that this session is going to be another power-packed bit where we will be discussing on ensuring sustainability in edtech solutions for resilient and innovative education. So at this point now, I am just going to be leading the conversation with very astute speakers. I'd like to first off introduce in no particular order, the first speaker, Akiwande Akinsulere, who is the Startup Support Lead at Co-Creation Hub Africa. I'd also like to introduce Nyagaki Gichia, who is the Africa Director at Team for Tech Kenya. Also with me is Seppo Ngwenyama, who is the Partnership Development Director at Goodwall. And finally, we have Eloho Omonemu, who is representing Ayoluwa Nyola, and she is the Vice President, Medium and Curriculum from the U Lesson Group. So it's a packed presence here, and we are going to be having a good time. So let's quickly jump into the conversation. And our first question: what are the primary challenges in achieving sustainability within EdTech in Africa? And how have you addressed these challenges? I'd like the director, Africa Director, Team for Tech, to start this conversation. Then after which I would go on to, I don't know, please, am I sure that Eloy is here? No, not. I have just Ephraim Swila. Okay, so let's start first with Chekaki. What are the major challenges that are facing, sustainability for EdTech in Africa?
Thank you very much, Chinelu, and it's a pleasure being here with all of you. Of course, when we're talking sustainability in Africa, there are many, many challenges. The biggest being, not the discrepancy in access to infrastructure for many of our schools, many of our institutions and learning institutions on the continent. And I think a big issue with this when we're designing solutions is we design solutions that sometimes are not platform agnostic, are tied to a particular platform, a particular hardware, and sometimes that causes even more discrepancies because those who cannot afford to either purchase those solutions or purchase that infrastructure are left behind. And so, at Team for Tech, for example, when we are working with our nonprofit organizations to design solutions, we really try to be platform agnostic and trying to see what do they have on the ground already and how can we use what they have to improve education. And sometimes when you're using technology, it's what works best in the situation that these organizations are working with. And so it might be different for a nonprofit here in Kenya, based in rural Kenya, to a nonprofit based in, I don't know, somewhere in Nigeria. So it's kind of looking at what works best in that solution, in that situation, and how can we be platform agnostic, really focusing on solving the problem and not causing other problems that would accelerate the problem more.
All right, thank you, Nyagaki. And Akiwande, I know that you lead a team who has already about 48 edtech startups accelerating in Nigeria and in Kenya. So what would you say from your point of view are some of the challenges around edtech sustainability, and what is the approach you are deploying, to address what you have noticed?
Thank you very much, Hielu. And it's a pleasure to be on this panel with you and Gaki. Just speaking to the experience over the last specifically on the program you mentioned, Chielu, which we're collaborating on as well, over the last 2 years. It's been more around supporting health tech startups who are trying to build solutions that can help us increase access to quality education, and most importantly, access to relevant, educational content across the continent. And in terms of the challenges that we've seen with some of these, innovators who are trying to solve within the education technology space, we've seen gaps in terms of sustainable business models. One of the reasons why there hasn't been significant investment, in the education technology, vertical, it's because the business model that a lot of the platforms run, they are not sustainable,
Mm-hmm.
right? Investors want to be able to,
Mm-hmm.
track what will return on investment look like for them. But in the case where we also have significant number, of our population on the continent not being able to easily afford the solution, it poses a major challenge, to the edtech founders. And part of what we're doing is to help them design, models that could plug in government, as a way to support them.
Actually, are you there? Ephraim, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I think Akimade is frozen. All right. We will just try to move on from this. So Nyagage, let me come back to you on what you spoke about, try to come up with more platform agnostic models, right? So when you talk about this, let's break it down a little bit more. When we discuss edtech on the continent, and over time, I like to come at it. Okay, Akimade is back. Akimade, are you back now? Okay, no.
Yes, my apologies. So this is one of the. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Okay. I mean, part of the challenge to access to education technology solution is absolutely connectivity. So you still put in investment to get the best of the internet service providers, but they still fail you. Which is what we just experienced just some minutes ago. But I was just highlighting the fact that uh, the business model needs to be sustainable, and what we're doing on our own part is to see how we can plug in the government element, such that we
Mm-hmm.
can integrate, government support, integrating budgeting for, education technology solutions as part of their education budget, as part of their planning, such that, the solutions that, we have supported are able to render their services to, low income areas where they need the solution the most, but leveraging, the funding from government to pay for those services. The other, part of it is also to work with corporate partners, like the telcos, the financial institutions that already have some sort of, customer base or client base, that includes educational institutions, working with those people to leverage their infrastructure for distribution, of these solutions, such that, it's not costing so much for education technology solutions to distribute to these numbers that are already within the ecosystem of these large corporates. So these are some of the things that we are exploring, to support them. And lastly, the part of the major challenge is actually this edtech solutions even building relevant solutions. So you see a lot of them. They come up with platforms, try to create educational content, but they are not necessarily contextually relevant or even culturally relevant, such a way that the learners in this our unique culture can really consume this content, and that can actually help
Okay, so at this point, I'll just quickly move on. from Akiwande and go back to you, Yagaki. And I was going to ask around the building, platform agnostic models. And I was going to link it to talent, right? Because one thing that we've seen over time in edtech is no matter how profound your ideas are, and no matter what platforms you're trying to support, no matter whatever thing you're trying to push, one major thing we still find a problem with is talent. So what's the role of talent also in building strong edtech models that are resilient and that can push for more innovative education? Because if you're thinking about specific models and based on what is on the ground and what people are already used to, do you have enough capacity to even sustain whatever you want to build? And how does this affect? Because I want to believe that it's also a challenge. I mean, you can't speak about platforms and models without speaking about the manpower and the capacity to build whatever systems you want to build. So I want you to talk more on that.
Yeah, thanks for that, Chinelu. Talent is definitely an issue, and not so much that there is no talent on the continent, because we're churning out university graduates every other month.
Absolutely, yeah.
A graduation, right? But there are other skills that I would say that we're lacking, and that's that like those soft skills, that adaptability, and even that have you can see that even when we're building our solutions. When it comes to entrepreneurs, they're so focused on what they know and what they think is great, but they're not looking at how is my solution adaptable? How can this be used by another programmer and adapted to a different situation, a different community, for example? And so there's the lack of skills or the lack of talent is not so much in the hard skills, or we're talking about the tech skills here. It's more about, do people empathize? Do people understand what is actually happening on the ground? Is there a common call for communication, collaboration? And I think that's a big thing when we're talking about building edtech solutions. You can't just be thinking about that one school that you went to visit one day. It's about, and just also talking, Akinwande spoke about this. If the government's mandate, actually in many of our African countries, it's the government's education is a mandate of the government, right? And the government will not implement solutions that are just favorable to one community or one situation. They're looking at it at a country scale, right? So whatever entrepreneurs are building or are innovating, it needs to be adaptable. It needs to be relatable to every school, every educational institution. And to do that, yes, it does take a lot of investment. It does take a lot of knowledge. But then, when you're even starting out as an entrepreneur, are you building this into your organization?
Exactly. Yeah.
Building these capacities or capabilities to adapt, to change the way things are. And I think that's a big thing that many entrepreneurs are married to their ideas so much that they just don't want to change.
So let me just quickly take on this last thing that you have spoken, and it's going to lead into my next question, where you say people are not, a lot of people in the edtech space are not ready to change. And, the common term would be that they work in silos, and there's a need to understand, for instance, what models or what systems will work best, which is alluding to what Akin also mentioned, that you need to understand what systems work best, what models work best, and incorporate this. So do you think that people who are building edtech solutions are getting into the right kinds of partnerships to help them sustain their businesses or build the right kind of education solutions and products that would push education, resilient education on the continent? Are we opening up ourselves well? We hear of think tanks a lot. You hear of think tanks in fintech. You hear of think tanks in agriculture, but we do not hear of as much think tanks in education technology. So what is the role basically of partnerships, and are we doing enough, when it comes to partnerships? So you can, Yagaki, you can start off here and Akin will take off after you. I can see you're smiling already, like you have so many things to say.
Right. I'm smiling because I don't want to step on Akin's toes, considering his he's a community aggregator. And so I understand, and I used to work at IHUB years ago, so I
Uh-huh.
understand the role of organizations such as this. And yes, there is space, or there is a role that we all play, especially that us who have been in edtech for years, and kind of understand the ecosystem, to bringing people together. And I know Jen Otieno is going to be speaking later on today, and she's also an ecosystem aggregator. Like, we need to bring people together to talk, to understand each other. And I'm talking about entrepreneurs, I'm talking about government, I'm talking about teachers, school leaders. Like, can we get these people all in a room together to be speaking to each other, and also researchers? And that's a big thing. There's
Mm.
not enough research happening. So even when we can't really blame these entrepreneurs fully, because what research are they building upon, right? You know, you many of them are building upon their own experiences going through school, and not so much research on a wider scale, either on a
Mm-hmm.
country level or on a continent level. And so I think there is a role for ecosystem builders or ecosystem aggregators to bring all these people onto the table, and actually just hear them out and have conversations, like open conversations, about what is actually happening on the ground, what are the problems that need to be solved, and which problems need to be solved now. Because we're not talking about problems for 5 years from now if we can't even solve the ones that are happening today. But I know I can probably have more to say.
Akinwande, Aki, over to you. Are we doing enough to open up? Based on what Negaki has said, are we doing enough research? Are we doing a lot of handshake with the government and more corporate? You mentioned how when you're refining business models, there's a need to speak with the private organizations. There's a need to speak with the corporates. There's a need to speak with the government. Are we doing enough to understand what the problem is and form the strong partnerships, which in turn lead to stronger products that would stand the test of time, no matter what systems or um, government dynamics might come into play? Because we need to understand that no matter where you are, as long as you're on the continent, in fact, I'll say for the rest of the world, really, education is heavily, prioritized by the government. No matter how much they give to it or not, it's still being controlled by the government. So are we doing enough to get into the right partnerships when it comes to that point of view?
Thank you very much, Shielu. And just building what Nyagaki has said, definitely, I'm sure a lot of our audience we agree that we're not doing enough. In fact, it's almost like we've not even started off as far as African continent is concerned, because a lot of work needs to be done to really support the budding head tech, ecosystem in order to achieve the kind of, ambitious goal that we've actually set for that sector. And first is from the angle of the resource sharing. That Nyagaki also mentioned. How many researchers do we really have that are really, conducting research, adding thought leadership, to what we are doing, such that the founders can really leverage this, to build. I mean, so one of the things that we try to do at CCO is to develop a portal called the Future of Learning. And what we're trying to achieve with that is to get our designers, our researchers, to start, conducting their own insights or conducting their own research and sharing the insights, on the platform. And that platform is supposed to be beyond even, our expert sharing. We're hoping to engage in other experts to come, and share on that platform as well. But I think the key thing, as Nyagaki mentioned, is that we have to be intentional about really curating this community. Like what we're doing in Kenya, for example, is to say that there is the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, that can help us ensure that whatever it is that we have in terms of the curriculum for those that are K to 12, for example, whatever the innovators are building is well aligned to what has been designed as the curriculum for K to 12. So what we've done is to bring the innovators and these government agency into the room to see how it evolve. And we're beginning to see some traction, with the agency in Kenya, for example. Now, when you also think about the broader audience or learners or users on on these education technology platforms are also people with disability, because a lot of time we build without even giving consideration to people that have certain, impairments or disability. So one of the things that we're also doing is intentionally integrating them into the community of people that we engage, for feedback in order to design a robust support system, for these innovators. I think one, we have to be very intentional about, exploring that collaboration and partnership. I mentioned our efforts around getting government on board, getting corporate organizations on board, and most importantly, agencies within government that are directly involved, with designing curriculum, providing oversight to the delivery and all of that. So just being intentional about curating conversations, dialogue, platforms like these really very essential that could help, spark ideas, bring about exchange of knowledge and insights. Just creating more of those platforms, will really help get as many more stakeholders, in the conversation, such that we can collaboratively, support the health tech innovation that is on the rise, on the continent. And of course, we have to be flexible. There is no way we can, build or forge alliance if we are not flexible, because multiple parties with their own priorities, with their own interests, just being able to align, it's very essential. Yes, we have innovative solution, but we also understand that the government agencies that have designed their curriculum, designed it leveraging insights of the experts that they have. So what we are layering on what they have is to say that, okay, from our own findings, so part of the support that we're actually getting on the program as well is that we're working, with CMU, Carnegie Mellon University, their unit that is responsible for instructional designs, learning science and all that. So they are able to bring in their research, and merge that with what we're getting from input from government agency, connecting that with what our experts are providing, such that we indeed have that triple helix approach to building what is formidable. Because without really integrating that triple helix approach, we won't really be able to make significant impact as far as education technology is concerned. So yes, that idea around resource sharing is very important, and platforms like these will really help us, to keep sharing knowledge and getting all the key players to keep having conversation. Thanks.
Thank you, Akinwande. From all of the conversations, these two questions that we've broken down in the various ways, I think what has come out strongly is that there is a need for more collaboration for EdTech on the continent, and it goes both nationally and I'd say internationally, so within countries and country to country as well, because we all know that some problems, some challenges are not native to countries. So the same situations exist across board. If you're having problems in literacy and numeracy, most often you're having the same type of challenges across West Africa, East Africa, South Africa, wherever it is. So instead of wasting so much time doing one particular thing, it would be more instructive for us to have think tanks and have people who are dedicated to research and who are conducting these researches across various ecosystems, still within education, or various countries still within education. That way, we don't have to do research every single time we have to build new solutions, but it's just going to see what new thing has been learned and then building on all of this. Thank you so much for all of this. I have a question here, and this is going to Akinwande. It says you mentioned business to business model. When you talk about some of the challenges, so this is when you're talking about the challenges that businesses face and how you're able to support them, right? The challenges and how you're able to support them. And you said sometimes they have the wrong kind of business models to push the solutions that they have. And sometimes you advise them onto getting more, innovative models that would get them to scale and get the solutions to the right users at the end of the day. And someone is asking, when you say business to business, won't there be a conflict of interest or something like the government stole my idea? I have the answer to that question, but I want you, as the startup support lead, to help really just break down what, a business to business model might be for an edtech organization, and really what a business to government model would be to an organization. So this listener would understand fully how some of these models play out. You have just 1 minute for this, by the way. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Hielu. And this is such an interesting question. One of the things I just want to first highlight quickly is the fact that if you're building in tech, impact has to be priority for you. So it's
Absolutely.
about scaling the solution that you have, right? So, and when we say business to business, right, what you're trying to do is just to be able to leverage, access to a lot of land. So take, for example, there are schools that have like 500 students, in some cases over 5,000 students, across maybe like their network of schools within K to 12, right? So instead of trying to sell solutions to individual parents of those students, if you're able to work out, structure a deal such that you're able to provide the solution to the school, yes, it could be a discounted price, for you to be able to sell to all your students. But what it means is that you reaching one school, you're reaching 5,000 students, at a go, which of course is going to reduce the cost of marketing that you could have expended in trying to reach 5,000. And when you build credibility with one school, you can take that testimonial to other schools. That's the idea of the business to business model. And for the business to government model, just think about scaling that. Across all of our various regions, the public schools are significantly more than private schools. Right? So what it means is that if we're able to, strike partnership with governments such that they can take on your education technology solution, it means they can help distribute it, significantly across their regions. And we have a case, within our program, one of our solutions that is working with one of the state governments in Nigeria, and by far they have the highest number of learners currently among all the education technology solutions that we are supporting. Clear case of, business to government kind of solution. Again, don't think about they stealing it. It's usually very difficult for government to steal whatever it is that you do, because it's not sustainable on their end. And all that. But think about the collaboration that you can leverage to scale. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, it does, Akinwande. Thank you so much. The government is not in the business of providing, edtech solutions. They want you to do the work. And when you do a good work, you can then get the partnerships that you need to scale, really. So partnerships are important. You need to be speaking to the right people. You cannot be hiding your solutions. You can't have the mindset of, I can solve the entire education challenges on my own, or my company has all the skills and expertise to solve all the problems and all the challenges of education in your country, not talk of on the continent. So you have to be open to collaborating. You have another founder or a co-founder or a colleague who knows someone in the government or an agency that can support you, and then you have access either for your B2B. So imagine if you're in Kenya, for instance, and you're an edtech organization, you're an edtech solution owner, and you can get access to Capture. That way, that you have gotten into the private school system, right? The same way, if you're in Nigeria and you have a solution that can work in public schools, that way you're going into, maybe you're speaking to National Association of Private School, NAPS. That way you have access to the private schools. So instead of wasting your time trying to sell to parents directly, you're selling to schools who have 500, 1,000, 2,000 students, and that way you are scaling and your solutions are getting to the right people at the end of the day. So now I'd like to ask a very important question, which might be our last question for this session. How do we ensure accessibility and affordability while still maintaining innovative approaches? And I ask this because I know that education is very expensive. In fact, a wise man that I worked with one time, he would define education as a wicked problem, because it is wicked in trying to understand how to solve the problems, and you're targeting differentiated learning and different learners, right? And also in the amount of capital and resources you need to put into it. So how do you maintain that balance of innovation and still ensuring that you're achieving learning outcomes? This is something I feel that everybody who is pushing for education technology on the continent would always ask. Where do you get the balance? How do you ensure accessibility and affordability and still achieve learning outcomes? anyone really can go for this first. Yagaki, let me come to you because you're smiling.
I think we've already answered this question, and the answer to this is through partnerships. You can't do it alone. If you do it alone, it's going to be expensive. And just to give a comment on the government stole my idea thing, that's actually a great thing. If the government were to steal my idea, I'd be happy because that means that scale means that they would need help from me to implement because government may have that idea, but when it comes to implementation, they fall short.
Implementation, exactly. Yeah.
So, the only way to bring the cost of all these innovative solutions down is to make sure that they scale. And the only way to get scale is through government partnerships, through partnerships with the private sector, through, funding and grants from outside as well. The only way to do this is through partnerships. And, of course, as you're testing the initial stages, because whatever innovative solution you have needs to be tested, at that point, it may be expensive, and not necessarily for the user, but even for you as an entrepreneur. But once that solution is taken up by partners who have, more deeper pockets than you, then it becomes a solution that can be taken up by anyone in the country.
Yeah, I guess I'll just jump on it. Just building on what Nyagaki said. Partnership, very important, very critical. Then I think from the angle of how we build as well, there are certain technology that exists, right? So innovators can leverage existing platforms in order to drive their solutions. So for example, we think about Eneza, in Kenya, right? What they're doing is they're providing education content via the testing service that already exists, the SMS, right? That already exists. So the idea too is that what technology are available, maybe open source, low cost technology that already exists, such that you don't have to build from ground up, in its entirety. That will significantly help drive down the cost of creating the solution, which in turn will affect the cost of providing the service to to the end users or the learners. So I think being innovative in how we design is really very important. And again, we can't do without facilitating funding for the space. Finding investors, finding patient capital, for the space is also very critical, such that there is enough funds for the innovators to build, and they have resources backing them while they build, right? So that will help them to be able to build solutions that are relevant to the to the learners and achieving the kind of goal that we want. And I mean, now we're beginning to see a lot of tailored content, right, that are contextually relevant, like what Kunda Kids is building, Proudly African Roots. These are people building solutions that has significant contextual relevance, as far as her culture, it's concerned. And that is possible because they are able to, leverage resources, to build that. And maybe lastly, I will say that, this old tripartite model, the triple helix approach that we've mentioned, right? If we're able to get government to plug in funds to drive that, the implication of that is that the innovators will keep building with excitement because they know that from the regular budget from the government side, they are able to get some funding, to keep building. And the learners, on the other hand, are able to access the education because it's almost like free to them. Because we encourage innovators to think about freemium, but you do freemium where you are sure that there is a third party that is able to provide the funding to deliver the freemium. Otherwise, it won't be in business for long if they continue with the freemium. So, but I believe that with just those few points that you've mentioned, we can really still build for accessibility while, we still remain innovative in our approach. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Akiwande and Yagaki, for this very hot bits you've shared, to everyone who is listening. If you're building edtech solutions, really, I don't think you need any last minute words because they have told you that education on the continent is powered by collaborations. You cannot have a savior complex in edtech in Africa. You need to form the right partnerships. You need to research you cannot build from your head. You need to know what the problems are, and you are building the right solutions that are solving the problems. So I think at this point I will be okay. I can just give Nyegaki 30 seconds. Any last words to anyone? Akiwande also after her, just 30 seconds as we wrap this up.
Yeah, just a big thank you for being on this platform. At Team for Tech, we are committed to working with nonprofit organizations in the edtech space. So if there are organizations that would like to connect with us to join our online community, please reach out to me. My details will be shared, I think, by the hosts. But yeah, thank you very much, and I look forward to hearing more about this from the summit.
Thank you, Nyegaki. Akiwande, over to you.
Thank you so much, Yelu, for being an amazing moderator. And I think for me, my last word will be around, let's leverage our complementary strengths. You can build a lot on your own, but you can make significant impact with what you're building on your own. Collaborate with other institutions, with partners, where you can leverage their strengths, their insights to build whatever it is that you're building. And together we can go far. Thank you once again for having us on this platform. Then lastly, the third cohort for our program, the call for application will be opening very soon. So for those that are building education technology solution, you can head to the futureoflearning.cco.africa to register your interest, such that once that is launched, you get information first time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And at this point, I will be handing the baton back to Damilare as he continues with the rest of the summit. Thank you.
Wow. This kind of like a new exposition to sustainable solutions in edtech space in Africa. And so far so good. I've been able to jot a lot of things. In fact, I was even able to jot some questions. But before you guys will leave the call, I would love to ask this question because sometimes I just have to. I've discovered that there's this kind of big or the top guys that kind of determine what happens on social media. If Mark Zuckerberg just tell me I'm shutting down Instagram or Facebook, or I can restrict what you guys type, they've got the power. And Elon Musk could just say that, oh, I'm reviewing this kind of feature on Twitter. So I just want to discuss that. Is there kind of an organization for edtech innovators, or kind of a body that regulates the kind of solution we push out to our learners? The kind of, can we also make some decisions that go viral or that determines how these kind of solutions affect learners? So you want to go first?
I think I can come up first and say that what you've just said now is a problem that we are trying to correct in education, because you cannot look at education with the same lens you look at social media, fintech, agri. Education has to be learner driven. If you're not working with what the learners want, then you are just building a social media platform that people can also learn on. If it is not learner driven, then it is not the right kind of solution. You cannot sit down in your room and think that you know what the problems of children in upper Nigeria, northern Nigeria are, if you have not gone to do some work, which is what goes back to the research we were talking about. So if it's not learner driven, if you have not done series of tests, which is why we pride ourselves at CC Hub, that we follow a human-centered approach to solving problems that leverage technology. So the first thing is, what do the learners need? And you're now innovating around that. Not you innovate, then you try to force it down the truth of learners. I just leave that here for anyone else to come up.
Cool. Nyegaki, you want to say something?
Yeah, I fully agree with Chinyalu. We cannot be comparing social media and edtech, because social media is for fun, it's a platform for anyone can do what they want and anyone can do as they please. And when you're talking about edtech, you're talking about a need for learners to be able to get the skills they need to be productive in future. So as Chinelu says, you need to meet the learners where they are, and you need to know what their needs are, and not push down a platform, to push down a solution down their throats. And considering that education is, especially on the continent, is very country based, it would be very hard to just come up with a one-stop all solution and say, hey, here it is, do this. No, it won't work.
So, is there kind of like a regulatory organization that kind of governs what kind of solution goes viral, go out there for learners to learn? Maybe Akin would. Okay, go ahead.
Right. I would stay away from the word viral, because again, that is not the intent of this. It's not. We're not here to make things go viral, right? And I think this is also on a country-to-country basis. And I think Akin spoke about this. We have the KICD, who is regulatory in Kenya, for example. So whatever solution that you are, edtech solution that you are providing, KICD needs to approve the content that is there. And we've seen this, especially when it comes to learning about like sexual reproductivity and those kind of topics, where the regulatory bodies per country have come out and said, oh, this is not in line with our country's goals or with our country's mission or whatever it is. So I think that's as a country to country basis. Akin?
Yes, thanks, Nyangeke. I mean, without having to repeat what you've said, which is, I mean, you're quite spot on with that. I think the Federal Ministry of Education in Rwanda, just after the pandemic, when they had to, urgently switch to digital channels in delivering, learnings for students across the country, realized that they needed to design policy, for education technology, in their country. And when you look across a number of our countries, they have ICT departments within the ministry that caters to, their technology need within the ministry, but not necessarily delivering educational content, leveraging technology. So now it's a new area that a number of the Ministry of Education across, our countries are beginning to explore. And that's part of the conversations that we're trying to also have with them, to say, hey, we can co-create what works best, with these innovators, and not just the ministry doing this in isolation. So as at now, we don't really have like an umbrella body that does that, in terms of on the continent. But just as Chinyelu has mentioned, across different regions, they are just agencies that are in charge of curriculum development or specific aspects that the innovators are trying to play in. So, for example, those building solutions for people with disability, they are the units within the Ministry of Education that caters to, education for people with disability. That, whatever you're building also needs to be certified by them, right? So I think it's just to paint the picture of the fact that this thing is still like very early stage in Africa. And across different areas, innovators are trying to figure out what works best. We that we're supporting them, we're figuring out the best model to make them sustainable. Government is also trying to figure out how to bring these guys in that have come to disrupt the way they know how to do things traditionally. So I think it's an area that we can keep exploring, and we can also leverage our collaboration, our partnership, to provide guidance to the various ministries of government, education ministry, to really design what works best within various contexts. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Akin, and thank you, Chinyelu Nyangaki, for really adding those nuggets to the question. I was trying to work on a solution, on a project here, and it's just focused on higher education students here, college students here in the US, and I have to just go get some licenses because I want to do a project that involves students. So there's a lot of ethical regulations here, but I hope that very soon we are going to get to that stage in Africa whereby before you even launch your solution, you have to just get a license. Before you can think of creating solution for students, you have to get a license. So, and everything will just be in check. And I think that would promote ethical use of technology. It's going to also promote, digital privacy and policies that guide privacies. So thank you so much, guys. This has been an amazing time. Thank you for taking your time to join us today and to share with us from your wealth of experience. Our greatest part is to learn more on how to be sustainable when creating innovative and resilient education for Africa. Thank you once again, Yagaki. Thank you, Akin. Thank you, Chinyelu. And right about now, I want to move to the next section. So I will keep in touch after the summit and a follow-up question.
Thank you.
Good to have you.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Hi, Ephraim. Apologies for keeping waiting. And right about now, we're going to have you go ahead with the exhibition. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, great. So, please, the mic is yours. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very, very much. So I've been learning a lot from the previous session, actually. There are a lot of things that I've gained that are useful. So congratulations for this event and even for all panelists. So I'll be taking just few minutes to explain what is Shulesoft and what actually we're doing in Tanzania and in other parts of Africa. So only a few seconds, I think there'll be enough. Maybe if I can share the screen.
Good. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so maybe I just go with, let me go with the entire screen.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope you can see my screen. So
Yeah.
I'll just take very few minutes just to explain in a nutshell what exactly we are doing in Africa, starting with Tanzania. So what is Shulesoft? So Shulesoft actually is a cloud-based school management platform. So we are working with a number of schools in Tanzania and even in other parts of Africa. So currently we are serving more than 400 private schools. And we provide this management platform that assists them to manage the entire operation. We say starting a school is simple, but running a school and make it profitable and grow it is very difficult. That's why you find in most schools they remain to be small. So we give them this solution that assists them to grow and expand and manage their resources more effectively. So our platform, we are serving now nursery schools, primary schools, and secondary schools, and few colleges for now. We have not yet started with universities, but we are serving these in other countries they call K-12 education. So within Shulesoft, we are offering basically 6 modules, which in summary, we have the first module, which is called administration management, where we assist schools to manage the user information, student records, parent record, teachers record, assist them to create KPI stuff for their staff, managing contracts, etc., just for administration purpose. But also we have another module, we call it academic management, where we assist these schools to manage academic information easily and to generate reports, academic reports easily, but also to do different evaluation for the result. So this module allows schools to enter marks, and the system will generate all academic results automatically. But also it is send these reports to parent automatically in their mobile phone. So all parents within the school, they'll be able to view student results and even to do some analysis themselves at home. But also we have another module which is called accounting management, which is the biggest challenge to most schools here, because most owners maybe they're not aware of accounting policies, accounting standards, and how to manage the accounting. So this module comes as a solution. We automate most of the thing, starting from fee collection. So the system allows schools to generate invoice or reference number for each parent, for each student, actually. And we've partnered with a number of financial institutions like banking and microfinance and different insurance companies, such that parents, they can pay via different banking partners that we are working with, and the amount that they've paid will reflect automatically within the platform. But also parents, they can get life insurance from the platform. So in case of anything, if they lost their life or they lost their health, the insurance will continue to pay for school fees until graduation of their student. But also we have another module which we call operation management, assisting schools to manage different functions within the schools like hostel, library, transport, we call student diary, calendars, exam attendance, whatever. But also we have another module which we call communication management. The school, they're able to communicate with parents via different channels. So within this platform, we've already connected with bulk SMS. We also have phone SMS, we have email, we have WhatsApp, we have Telegram. So it is easier for schools to communicate with parents and send them whatever kind of information they need. And the last module, we call it digital learning, where we allow these schools to stream live studies to students at home. Schools are able to upload class notes, and students at home will be able to read different notes. And the good thing, the system track to know the progress of students and analyze how they interact with the platform. But we have online exams and also have home package where actually school can interact with the student at home. So that's a summary about the platform. So without wasting any time, let me take you to the platform itself, maybe just to see a demo. Okay, so this is a demo account of the SchuleSoft system. As you can see, it's a comprehensive platform, allows schools to manage the entire operation. So here I've logged in as a school administrator or school owner, and I'm able to view each and everything. As you can see, this is a module. We have administration module, we have academic module, we have operation, we have accounting with number of features. We also have communication and digital learning. So if I log in as administrator, I'll be able to view each and everything. But for students, we'll be able to view only their respective information, as well as parents, they'll be able to view only their student information. And even teachers will be able to view only things related to them. But as a school owner, I'll be able to view each and everything. So I'll just give you a few examples. Let me show how we generate academic results. So the first time, once a school joins our platform, the first approach, we assist the school to do the data entry, meaning register all students and parents within the platform. So once a school performs any exams, it's just a simple step. A teacher will enter to his account, navigate to the marking area. As you can see, maybe select a class. I can give an example. Let's say Form 2 2025. Then these are the exams. So as a teacher, I'll be able to enter any marks. Assuming maybe this is the student name, I just input the marks here, just like using an Excel file. So once these marks have been entered by all teachers within the school, then the academic master or anyone in charge will be able to generate any kind of result. So let me give you, for example, I can go here to the report. Then we have multiple reports. So I'll show you maybe just few examples. Let's go maybe to single report. I can select maybe Form 2 2023. I can select stream, maybe all stream. I can select term, maybe first term, and these are the exams. Maybe I can say midterm 2 exams. And for the subject, I say I need a report of all subjects. So if I click view report, then the system will generate this report automatically. As you can see, this is student name, stream, this is marks for each subject. But also we have subject counted, we have total marks. But also here we can view the rank, the division. We can also view report for individual stream, but we can also view the analysis to know the performance of each subject. As you can see, we can also see the performance of subject in a graphical way. We can also analyze what are the division, allocation, but also the system allows schools to generate academic report card automatically. So for example, if I click here, preview, then this is a report card already generated from the platform. And within this platform, I can just click publish this report. And once I publish the report, then all parents at home will be able to view a report card and even do the analysis and even write comment for schools to, to analyze those comments. So this is a summary about the platform. It is huge with number of features. So based on the time, I don't want to take a lot of time. So let me end it here. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Hi, Ephraim. When I was just checking out your presentation, I see that this is kind of a solution that all African schools should have. Because I remember when I was in the classroom, I was even the head of ICT. I knew the stress I went through trying to collect results for over 600 learners in the school. It was quite a lot, and I didn't even have gotten access to this tool. Maybe I would have been promoted to, I don't know now, But this is kind of tool that I think all schools in Africa should leverage and jump on. It's it was so smooth and steady. Just put the grades, then you are good to go. This is kind of a kind of problem that a lot of schools are facing. So I'm going to kind of encourage every school administrator watching us live or watching via replay that you should try to check out Chulesoft. This is a amazing tool your school needs to jump on to make work much easier for you. It's a powerful learning management system for admin, for accounting, even for assessment. So this is kind of, and before you know it, all parents receive results of their learners, of their kids' awards via email. So this is a very wonderful tool, and I really commend Ephraim for the amazing work you're doing at Soft in Tanzania. And with time, I believe that this tool would definitely be onboarded by the governments of different states or countries in Africa, because government schools need to really learn how to use this tool, and this makes work much easier for educators. When it's time for grading an exam, some teachers they complain, "Hard, this is time for too much work," and I think this is kind of the solution they need to get work done much easier and better. This is a very innovative way of making education being revolutionized for all. Thank you once again for joining us, Ephraim. So if there's any question for you, I'm going to shoot you an email. And if we see any school owners who reach out to us, I'm going to shoot you an email and get connected as well. So thank you for creating the time to present and show us the kind of amazing work you are doing with Soft. And we will keep in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So right about now we want to move to the next section, and this time around we have Jennifer Antonio joining us from Kenya, and she has been super amazing. We've been kind of engaging to know how best to get things done perfectly well on this section. So join me as I welcome Jennifer to this stage. Hi Jennifer, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for including me in today's conversation.
You're welcome. We are so much excited and honored to have you join us and share from your word of experience, from your expertise. And I know you are doing great work in East Africa generally. I met you at the MasterCard conference this year, in Abuja, and I'm like, wow, this is really great stuff in East Africa. So thank you for taking the time to share with us and to give our audience this kind of impactful knowledge that would last them for a while to create resilient and innovative education. So your time, you can go ahead now. You have the floor.
Amazing. Well, again, thank you so much for having me. And it's very much my pleasure to be here on behalf of the EdTech East Africa community. When I got this invitation, I was really excited because it really does seem like an incredible conversation, and a great opportunity for us to be learning together. And really that's what EdTech East Africa is all about. When we started, it really was about creating a space for us to learn from one another, to support one another, and to help each other grow. And so thank you to you and to the whole team for bringing us together in this way. I'll talk through a little bit of our story and and some of the things that we've been working on. I hope this will serve as an inspiration to others who are working in the space, who are part of communities like ours in EdTech East Africa, and very much hope that we can also get feedback from everyone here about what we're doing and how we can do it better. So just a little bit about me. As you heard, my name is Jennifer Otieno. I'm the co-founder and CEO of EdTech East Africa. I've been working in education for over 20 years now. So I really do come to this conversation as an educator, I've been an entrepreneur in education. I currently work as a researcher in many functions. I also lead EdTech East Africa as a leader of an NGO. I've worked alongside governments, lots of different things. So I have a lot of different lenses into sort of, how education works, why it works, and what we can do to improve it. So for 10 of those years, I was working in the United States, which is where I'm from. I'm a New Yorker. But for the last 10 years, I've been living and learning here in Nairobi, and working alongside this beautiful community in Kenya. I have, started the EdTech community alongside my co-founder, Missy Mwendwa, back in 2014. And as I mentioned, it really came out of a desire to learn from others, to create a space for entrepreneurs and others to be less lost and lonely, and for all of us to really have an opportunity to collaborate more effectively, and especially to make better use of scarce resources. We grew through a number of partnerships. We now serve over 4,000 individuals across the region, and we work through partnerships in Uganda, Tanzania, Ethiopia, and Rwanda. I also serve as the Kenya co-lead for EdTech Hub. Some of you may have heard of EdTech Hub. It's a global research collaborative focused on improving the use of evidence in decision-making by governments, by development partners, and others who are using technology to support education. So that's just a little bit about me and where I come into this conversation. In terms of the team, I represent EdTech East Africa. You can tell that the theme of this conference is very much aligned to who we are and what we think about. And it's really about how can we create more inclusive, effective, and resilient education systems. And we believe that technology is a tool to do that. So when we talk about resilience in particular, what we're thinking about is, how do we actually create stronger systems? And of course, after COVID-19, we all know that EdTech took center stage and really became part of the main dialogue around education. We knew that for systems to be resilient, technology was going to play a massive part in building that resilience. And so as we also think about upcoming disruptions, so more health emergencies like the COVID-19 pandemic, as we think about climate effects, political instability, which we're seeing in multiple places, not just on the continent, but around the world. We think about conflict, a number of different things that are continuously disrupting our systems. And I think the big change that we're looking at now is thinking about not as these being sort of disruptions, but rather that these are truly parts of our education experience. And we need to design our systems to actually expect these kinds of disruptions. And so as we think about doing that, we've learned a little bit about what does it actually take to build those resilient learning systems. I'm not going to talk through everything here just because of time, and I want to get you to a nice meaty example of what we've been doing in East Africa, and specifically in Kenya. But just to touch on a few of these, you'll see it's about people. So one of the things we've really learned is really about focusing on teachers as the core of that learning experience and making sure that they are both confident to handle these emergencies or these disruptions, but also capable, that we've given them the tools and the knowledge they need in order to be able to react successfully and adapt And how do we actually bolster the work of those teachers by focusing on these healthy and active learning teams. And when we're talking about learning teams, we're saying who else is surrounding that teacher and supporting them to make education possible. That might be their school leader. It might be a community member. It might be a parent or a group of parents. It might be a skilled worker, maybe somebody who's coming in to teach, say, coding or different things. But all of these different people who wrap around the teacher and support them to make sure that learning is happening effectively. You'll see we're also talking about data, data systems, data feedback loops, making sure that we actually have data and evidence to make sure that we understand what's happening in our learning ecosystems, and we can figure out how to use data to strengthen them. And then one thing I want to think about, one other thing I want to mention here is this kind of mindset of continuous learning. I think traditionally we've all over the world, the way systems are designed is that we have, breaks from learning. We have holiday breaks, and we have, after school, and we have all of these things. And we know that young people don't stop learning when they leave school. And really that we need to design, again, for all of this learning to be happening, whether or not young people are in schools, whether they can reach schools, but also that's a lot about the adults in the room and less about the young people, about how do we think about designing for that continuous learning. So, we've been kind of thinking about this for a long time. We've been learning from our broader community and trying to understand how can we really focus on building these resilient learning ecosystems. And it's not easy, I'll tell you that. It really is very, very complex. There's a lot going on. I know in all of our countries across the continent, we see so much diversity, even at a country level, of the different regions of our country within, different parts of our communities. So much diversity that we need to design for, and it really does add a lot of complexity. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is, as you can see from the title of the session, it was, where do NGOs come into this? Obviously, there are NGOs like mine, which are really about bringing the ecosystem together and creating opportunities for that shared learning. And I think that's a critical role. But I want to talk about these NGOs that are a little bit closer to communities, and those that are kind of working on the ground through partnerships with communities and actually supporting, maybe it's just education, but it might be beyond. It might be education and health and social welfare more generally. But the asset that they bring to the table is really about this kind of trust that they've built within their communities that they serve. And this is going to be important in the story I tell you in just a minute, because we really recognize that organizations like mine, while we have a lot of access to other resources and we have a role to play as well, and we're good at certain things, we didn't have that deep understanding of local context, local culture, when we really start to get down into some of the regions where, outside of Nairobi, in some of our more rural and remote communities, we needed the depth of understanding and the trust that NGOs brought to that process. They're amazing at providing support to, again, teachers, parents, and system leaders that are in those local communities and trying to actually advocate for them and walk a journey alongside them. Also, most of these NGOs have a lens towards those who are traditionally left behind. EdTech East Africa, a large part of our community is EdTech entrepreneurs. And for all of the entrepreneurs, and I'm sure there have been many conversations around this already, but there's a real tension between scalability and inclusion, and being able to really design products that can meet the needs of everyone. Of course, there are amazing strategies like universal design for learning that we can all use to be able to build more inclusive EdTech products. But when it gets down to the implementation or the use, the dissemination of those tools, we need those who actually have access to those communities. And oftentimes these NGOs are led by very passionate local leaders who are really committed to the growth of those communities. And I think all of these are incredible assets when we start to think about how do we use technology to create more resilient learning systems. So I want to just tell you a little bit about a story of some work that we've done in Kenya that was born out of the pandemic, but has continued beyond the length of the pandemic, and actually continues today. And I'll tell you kind of where we are now at the end of these couple of quick slides on the initiative itself. So Keep Kenya Learning was really about, when the pandemic hit, what can we do to make sure that all of these young people who could no longer access schools could continue to learn. So here in Kenya, we closed for about 10 months, a little over, but basically closed in about March. And the government sort of paused learning at first, and then made a decision a few months later to keep schools closed until the following January. So we knew that young people were going to be out of school for quite some time. And all of a sudden, these learners being home meant parents and caregivers were suddenly put into this role as leaders of learning that they had never occupied before. And this may be similar to many others countries across the continent. This might resonate with you. But in Kenya, our parents mostly see their roles as kind of paying school fees and getting their kids to school, making sure that they show up. And sort of the engagement with learning often ends there. And so this was a brand new space for a lot of our parents and caregivers. And so because there was very little guidance given to these parents and caregivers on what to do, a number of our stakeholders in a subgroup called the EdTech Leaders Group, which was a smaller community of about 40 leaders in this broader community of 4,000, came together to sort of talk about what can we do to support these parents and caregivers in Kenya to continue to learn at home. And we asked people in that group, basically, what's going on the ground? What are you hearing? For those that are engaging with parents and caregivers, what are you seeing? And what we heard back from all those groups was that caregivers were asking these three questions. Should we keep learning, or should we just wait for the schools to reopen? I have a lot going on as a parent. I'm busy. I need to just focus on surviving. I need to make sure that I have, food on the table. It's tough because it's the middle of a pandemic. I'm really struggling. Should I even be doing this? Should I just wait? Then the question was, if I'm going to keep learning, what am I supposed to be learning with my young person? Is it the learning they were supposed to be doing this year? Is it the revisiting what they were learning last year? Is it something else completely? What am I supposed to be focusing on? And then once we've answered the question of what to learn, where do I actually go to find reliable resources? And so, there was a huge amount of uncertainty for a lot of these parents and caregivers. And so basically, we came together as members of EdTech East Africa. And at the time, you can see here, we had about 3,400 members in the community. And we joined forces with two other communities. And both of these communities were members of that EdTech Leaders Group that I mentioned. So RELI, which is the Regional Education Learning Initiative, this is a group that exists across Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya. And within Kenya, there are about 25 different organizations, all NGOs, who focus on serving those furthest behind. So really deep access to remote and rural communities. We have in our arid and semi-arid lands, lots of local grassroots community-based organizations and NGOs who are working to improve education in those communities. METIS is an education fellowship, so really supporting education leaders, so passionate leaders, many of them NGOs, some are from the public sector as well, some are EdTech entrepreneurs, but a number of them being local NGOs, again, who really have deep passion for an understanding of their local communities. And so we brought our community of edtech entrepreneurs and others together with these amazing NGOs to say, what can we do collectively to solve this challenge that we're hearing from caregivers? What support can we give them to be able to continue learning at home? And so, well, again, based on what we thought we knew from the kind of surface level conversations that we had in this edtech caregiver or this edtech leaders group was, well, caregivers just need clarity on what their role should be. We need to give them guidance on what learning at home should look like. And we just need to give them access to digital tools and analog resources, so print materials as well. So we started by kind of putting together a lot of guidance. We started sharing that through WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups and lots of different things. We built a repository where it would be easy to access all the different types of tools from across those 3 ecosystems. We asked everyone to contribute their resources. We were overwhelmed with support. We had over 60 organizations who shared their resources with us so that we could put them in a one-stop shop for parents and caregivers to access. And basically, we said, okay, we've got all of these great materials. Now we just need to get it into the hands of caregivers. And at the time, we had gained a little bit of momentum and some support from a couple of partners, including EdTech Hub. And EdTech Hub challenged us and said, wait a second, are you sure you really understand what the parents and caregivers need? And with their support, while we were building all of these other things, we went to the ground and we focused on rural and low-income communities, so urban low-income and rural communities. And we said, not that the other kind of parts of our communities don't matter, but with our limited resources, we're going to focus on these areas, and we're going to really think about how can we, get really good insights into what these caregivers need. So we went to the ground, we talked with them with the support of Busara Center for Behavioral Economics. They helped us design some really amazing research tools that allowed us to more deeply understand the real barriers that our caregivers were facing. And what we learned was, while all the things we were doing were important, and we did need those, we needed to do much more than just that. So a couple of the things that our parents and caregivers were really longing for was community. Many of them were nervous. They said, I don't know what I'm doing. My literacy levels are low. Maybe I didn't finish school. I'm not qualified to be able to do this, and I don't know who to reach out to for help. So we wanted them to understand how within their communities they could build a network of support for one another. Additionally, we needed to build confidence. So again, a belief in their own value to contribute to the learning process, but then also that they had value, that their children wanted to learn from them, that they already were educating their children. And then the last piece was around actually building their digital literacy skills. So many of the parents and caregivers we were talking about, they might have just feature phones, and they may even just know how to maybe send an SMS, but mostly just send and answer calls. And so we had a big leap of where caregivers were to start with and where we wanted them to be in order to be able to access remote learning resources. And so basically what we did is we worked together with a number of different partners to basically curate resources, to kind of design this approach. So basically saying, well, what is it going to look like? Like, we know now that these are the things that are needed. How do we create interventions that are going to help build that bridge from where they are to where they need to be able to access all of these digital learning resources? We worked together with them to actually co-design these interventions, and not just these individuals, but we worked alongside the Kenya Institute for Curriculum Development and the National Parents Association to build these interventions. And then alongside, obviously with the National Parents Association, these are parents who are parts of these communities co-creating resources alongside us. And then many of these folks helped us to test in communities. And so basically, I'll just again talk specifically about the incredibly important role that NGOs played in this work. So as I mentioned, part of the thing we were solving for was creating this network of support. So even while it was COVID and we had to social distance and we had to keep everyone safe, we worked with local NGOs to host kind of in-person community onboarding meetings to get together to talk about the value of learning at home, to help them understand how they could support one another, and also to build that confidence that they could do this. And there's a number of other resources that we built alongside that to help build confidence. We built videos around, with local caregivers talking about how they're engaging and learning so they could see others like them actually doing this work and hear about the value that it's provided for them. They could hear from them how they fit it into their busy schedules while they're maybe, selling, if they run a business or if they're taking care of a farm. How did they incorporate learning while they're doing their daily, activities or cooking meals, etc. But again, this was one component of a larger intervention. So these community onboarding meetings really helped with that. And the NGOs were absolutely critical to this space. And then we also hosted digital literacy trainings. And so we worked with, again, these are some really grassroots, local community organizations, NGOs who are deeply embedded in their communities and have a real understanding of what's going to make sense for their communities. So what we did at a centralized level is we developed all of these training materials and resource guides, and we co-created that with these partners, with caregivers themselves. But basically it created a set of resources that then these organizations could, knowing their communities, could take them, could adapt them. They were completely open source, so they could make sure that it made sense, either from a language perspective. So some of them were actually translated into mother tongue so that they could be more easily accessible to their local communities. Some of them, they had to adapt to actually make sense from a context or culture perspective, maybe different examples or things like that. And then basically our role was to support them and create a kind of training experience, but also a community of practice of these amazing implementers who are doing this great work on the ground. And then our role was also to support them to collect data, to understand what was going on with the caregivers more effectively. Was it actually working? Did it actually have an impact on the caregivers themselves? So these incredible partners helped us to do that. I also just want to mention that, this work was over about 2 years. So there was many evolutions of this. We did a ton of work, a ton of data collection, tons and tons of analysis to really try to understand, is the messenger, who's the right messenger? What's the right platform? What is the right content? We experimented with lots of different television and SMS and other types of offline resources and different things to figure out how can we support these caregivers most effectively. We learned a lot, and basically where we shared, after we packaged these all up, we made them open source. We shared them with the government. We shared them with a big community, what we've started now, which is called the Parental Empowerment and Engagement Consortium. So many more partners beyond the ones that you're seeing here are actually utilizing some of these resources and continuing to give us feedback. Now where we've evolved to is actually we are starting to create a second set of resources, really thinking about now some of our communities that have been affected most by school closures. So for any of you who have been watching the news in Kenya, we've had some really bad floods in Kenya that closed. I know we're not the only ones across the region. We've had people who have suffered from those floods. So those closed our schools. We've also had lots and lots of youth protests, which have caused us to close schools more intermittently. So schools were closed for a week with the floods, but or several weeks, depending on where we were in the country. But also then youth protests have caused us to close as well. And a number of different things, droughts for the last several years have put families on the move and have forced them to migrate away from schools. So now we're really thinking about how can we adapt these sets of resources for those contexts as well. So we're in a process, again, with support from partners to actually redesign these in close collaboration with those communities on the ground. And again, our local partners, our local NGOs are going to be absolutely essential to designing these resilient learning systems and creating resources that can empower parents, caregivers, but also those parents and caregivers alongside those teachers who I mentioned are critical to resilient learning. I know I'm out of time, so I'll stop there, but I just wanted to say a huge thank you. I hope this story has been interesting for all of you. We're very happy to keep updated on how things go as we continue this journey. So thank you so much.
Yeah, Asante Sana, thank you so much, Jennifer. And it's so nice learning about what you are doing. And in fact, you are doing a lot. And one thing I've learned over the years working with NGOs is like NGOs are kind of exposed to more data to really create more and more sustainable solution to their stakeholders. And it's kind of more important to know that networking and creating a community for everyone fosters more collaboration. When there's no community, it will really hard to have some partnerships or even collaborate. But once there's a community that supports all stakeholders, the government, the private sector, bringing even the policymakers. So this kind of community would help create more innovative solution and more sustainable solutions. And then it's so really exciting to learn about what you're doing in Kenya and about the Keep Kenya Learning. That's a very wonderful initiative. And I hope this thing is kind of being integrated to some other countries, even beyond East Africa, to West Africa, to even to the far north of Africa, which is really, really amazing. So thank you so much for sharing a lot of insight with us based on what you've done and what you plan to do. I love the page of the slide that talks about what we think would work and what we later discovered. And coming from the research angle now, I think that is really a very key point. People should really a good takeaway for people who are really listening or watching this right now. That sometimes there's some things you think would work, but with time, with the data you've gotten, with kind of prototype you've launched, you're able to see, oh, this works better. This is a better way to get it done. Thank you so much. I've really learned a lot, and I'm sure and certain that our audience now they've really gotten, they've really earned some important information you've shared and nuggets. And it's so nice to have bigger supporters like Mastercard, like EdTech like you mentioned. These are really people or organization really pushing the edges of education and how the impact could be doubled and even multiplied. That's so really amazing to hear about you. Thank you so much, Jenny, for joining us. We still have a lot to do. Yeah, we are working to launch a powerful campaign very soon in Nigeria, and I will reach out when the time is up.
Please do. Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's also nice to have you on the section today. And then right about now, we are really out of time. I want to move to the next section. So if there's any question, Jenny, I'm going to share them with you, and I'll be in your space, right? I'll be in your space. Thank you for taking the time. I know your weekend was very busy. You have to travel, yeah, but thank you for taking the time to come up with amazing presentation. And I believe this is really remarkable, and we won't really recover from this anytime soon. So thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the weekend. All right, guys. It's been a nice time since morning. I've been engaging people from the first panel section today, where we have a lot of innovators, incubators join the call to share what works and how best it would work if we really want to create some sustainable solution. And now Jennifer really shared a lot of information with us on how to really make things. These are the things she has done and she's doing in Kenya and other part of Africa. Right about now, I want to quickly move straight to a little icebreaker. Just let's have a little let's cool down the engine. So I'll be bringing to maybe on board. Hi, maybe how you doing? Good to see you.
Hi, I'm doing fine. I'm very good. Thank you. Good to see you too.
All right. So The floor is yours, please.
Okay, to all joining, I hope you guys are having a great time. I hope you guys are enjoying today's session. Today's session has also been full of insightful information, just like yesterday's session, all right? But we're going to take a break. We'd like to call it a tea break, or we're going to take a break anyways. And we're just going to review all that we have been doing from the beginning. And just like yesterday, I have come with more questions, more nice questions. And for those who can answer these questions correctly, we definitely have gifts for you, all right? Okay, so let's start. Let's get started. Yes. Okay. So, like you all know, this is ED-volution 2.0. So I'd like you all to tell me how you feel about today's summit. How do you feel about today's session? All right. Is it one? Are you like, it's okay? Or two? This is actually a very interesting situation. Or is it three? You're tired, bored, and you're ready to just get out of this place already. I know that no one has that kind of vibe. But let's go on. Is it four? Oh my God, we have a lot of information up your sleeves right now, and it's time to go and utilize everything. Or five. Kudos. Keep going. That's a very good one. Or six, or seven, or eight, or nine. Let's know in the comment section, please. Come on, let's know in the comment section. What has the experience been like for you? Have you picked something? Have you enjoyed the session so far? The panelists, were they excellent to you? Or Jen, who just left us now, has she been excellent? Have you picked something from all of the conversations that have been going on for the past, give or take, 2 hours? Let's find out in the section. Okay, so it's our quiz time. All right, it's quiz time, quiz time, quiz time. Like I said, just like yesterday, I've come with more questions, more tricky questions. All right, I've come with more tricky. Um, I've come with more tricky questions, and definitely for those who can get these questions correctly, we have something for you. We have to get something in store for you. All right. Okay, okay. Oh, I can see a response from Onikoya. All right, a response from Onikoya. She says, "For although I just joined, but I'm looking forward to tomorrow's session. Education technology is one area I'd love to explore. I'm currently studying education and chemistry. Oh, that's a great one. But the funny thing is that our sessions end today. Today is the last day of the summit, all right? But feel free to always go back to different social media platforms that we have used to actually watch everything from yesterday's event or yesterday's sessions to today's session. They're all going to be uploaded live, or not live, they're all going to be uploaded for you, so you can always go back to them and pick more interesting things or more insightful and informative things from the session, all right? But stay with us, I promise, from now till the end. We still have a lot of lovely, wonderful experts waiting to come on and, dish out a lot of nuggets for us, okay? So let's go on to our quiz. And the first question is this. Now, I believe that the majority of us joining this summit are people who are invested in learn tech or ed tech, all right? So I believe that we should be able to have answers to this question. But hold your horses, because these questions are quite tricky, so you don't make mistakes. Remember, we have gifts for all the winners, all right? So the first question goes this. What is resilient education and why is it important in today's world? What is resilient education and why is it important in today's world, right? Is it A, education that focuses on physical health, or B, education that can adapt and continue under challenging conditions, or C, education that eliminates the use of technology, or D, education limited to traditional classrooms? I'll take it again. What is resilient education and why is it important in today's world? When we say resilient education, do we mean A, education that focuses strictly on physical health, or B, education that can adapt and continue changing, that can adapt and continue under challenging conditions, or Or C, education that eliminates the use of technology? That doesn't sound like the answer. Well, let's go on. Or D, education limited to the traditional classroom? Let's find out. Let's find out. Let's find out. Okay, so we have someone giving an answer. Let us see if she's correct. Oh, yes, she's actually correct. Okay, so the answer is B, education that can adapt and continue under challenging conditions. I mean, from the name resilient is the ability to actually adapt and continue under challenging conditions. So when we put that in education, we definitely know that we're talking about education that can adapt and continue under the most tough or challenging conditions. All right, so let's go on to number 2. So our next question is this: what is a learning management system? A learning management system. What is a learning management system, and how does it support resilient education? Let's see the options. Is it A, platform for managing digital classrooms? Or B, a system that solely tracks students' attendance? Or C, a tool for online testing? Or D, a system to discourage online learning? D doesn't seem like it, but let's go on. Let me see your answers in the comment section. Is it A, a platform for managing digital classrooms? Or B, a system that solely tracks students' attendance? Or C, a tool for only online testing? Or D, a system to discourage online learning? What is the answer? You can help us with the correct answer. Remember, people are going to walk away with gifts. People are going to walk away with gifts if they can provide the correct answers for us. All right. Is it A or B or C or D? Let's find out in the comment section. Oh, I can see answers coming in already. I can see answers coming in already. Are you sure that that's the answer? Are you sure you've picked the correct answer? You have the freedom to change your mind. Are you sure you picked the correct answer? Okay, so let's find out together. Oh yes, the answer is A, a platform for managing digital education or digital classrooms. All right, so let's go on. We have more questions in store. All right. Now, I should say this. It's a situation of fastest fingers. All right. So we're actually going to check, and then the first person to get the correct answer, not the first person to drop an answer. No, you can drop an answer, but yours may be wrong. The first person to drop the correct answer, we're definitely going to reach out to you and give you something. All right. So let's find out question number 3. In what way can AI assist educators in administrative tasks? In what way can AI assist educators in administrative tasks? Is it A, by grading assignments and tracking attendance? Or B, by removing the need for lesson planning? Or C, by providing only online tests? Or D, by making physical copies of exams? Let's see the answers in the comment section. In what way can AI assist educators in administrative tasks? In what way can AI assist administrators in what way can AI assist educators in administrative tasks? Is it A, by grading assignments and tracking attendance? Or B, by removing the need for lesson planning? Or C, by providing online tests? Or D, by making physical copies of exams? Come on. Remember, it's a situation of fastest fingers, all right? Come on. I'm ready to show the answer. I'm ready to reveal the correct answer. Who is ready to see the correct answer or to find out the correct answer? Exactly. The correct answer is A, by grading assignments and tracking attendance. Let me just say this: nothing takes away the place of lesson planning. Nothing can take away the place of lesson planning. AI can assist lesson planning, but it can never be taken out. You cannot do anything without planning, and that also applies to the education system or to educating people generally. You have to plan what you want to teach or how you want to teach, all right? Okay, so let's go on to the next question. The next question number 4. Name one challenge that comes with integrating VR technologies in classrooms. Name one challenge that comes with integrating VR technology in classrooms. A, lack of interest among students. B, poor internet connection for rural areas. C, excessive physical requirements. Or D, high cost of equipment. This is a tricky one because I can see different actual problems. But when we're talking about VR technology in classrooms, just one problem applies, all right? Is it A, lack of interest among students? Can VR technology reduce the level of interest that students have in such situations? Or B, poor internet connections for rural areas? Or C, excessive fiscal requirements? Or D, high cost of equipment? A, B, C, or D? Fastest fingers, fastest fingers. Who's going to take this one home? Who's going to win this one? I'm about to reveal the answer. Answers coming in. Should I reveal my answer? Okay, I think I should. Oh, and the answer is the high cost of equipment. Remember I said that everything in the option, all the options you have, they are all actual problems associated with education and classroom situations. They are actually all problems associated with classroom situations. But in these options, we are looking for the one that is associated with integrating VR technologies in classrooms. That's what we are looking for. VR technologies in classrooms, all right? And our answer is the high cost of equipment, the high cost of computers and everything it takes to bring this, to implement VR technologies in classrooms, all right? So let's go on. We still have a lot more questions. Now, what is gamification and how does it contribute to innovative education? What is gamification and how does it contribute to innovative education? Is it A, it eliminates traditional method of teaching? Or B, it uses game elements to enhance students' engagement? Or C, it reduces study time? Or D, it promotes one physical sport in school? Is it A, it eliminates traditional methods of learning? Or B, it uses game elements to enhance students' engagement? Or C, it reduces study time? Or D, it promotes only physical sports in schools? What's the answer? A, B, C, or D? A, B, C, or D? Going A, B, C, or D? Going A, B, C, or D? Going A, B, C, or D? And gone. So let's find out the answer together. The answer is B. It uses game elements to enhance students' engagement. We all know that every young person, young, old, everyone loves to play games. Anyone who has had access to games, any type of games, people love to play games. And using or combining games and education will definitely increase engagement and attention retention for learners. Okay? All right, so let's go on. More questions coming your way. Which AI-powered tool is often used to create chatbots that assist students with answers? I'll take that again. Which AI-powered tool is often used to create chatbots that assist students with answering questions about course content? All right, let me take it again. Which AI-powered tool is often used to create chatbots that assist students with answering questions about course content? Is it A, natural language processing, NLP? Or B, blockchains? Or C, augmented reality? Or D, robotics? Now, this looks very tricky because there's so many. There are about 2 or 3 options that look like the correct answer. But let's see who has the correct answer in the comment section. Is it A, NLP? Or B, blockchain? Or C, AR? Or D, robotics? In the comment section. Go in. Is it A or B or C or D? In the comment section. Go in. And gone. All right, so let's find out together. A, natural language processing, NLP. All right, so let's go on. How can edtech solutions help bridge educational gaps in underserved areas? How can edtech solutions help bridge educational gaps in underserved areas? How can edtech solutions help bridge educational gaps in unserved areas? Is it A, by restricting access to only urban students? Or B, by increasing physical schools in the city? Or C, by providing quality online resources to remote areas? Or D, by discouraging online learning methods? Is it A, by restricting access to only urban students? Or B, by increasing physical schools in the cities? Or C, by providing quality online resources to remote areas? Or D, by discouraging online learning methods? A, B, C, or D? Come on, can someone help us in the comment section? Remember, fastest fingers applied. Fastest fingers. It's not just about giving the answers, giving the answers first. It's not just about giving the correct answers, but giving the correct answers first. All right? Going, 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 and gone. So let's see our answer. The answer is C, by providing quality online resources to remote areas. Yes, the best way to serve people who are underserved is to give more to them. And if there are people who are in remote areas who are underserved in terms of educational resources, the best thing is to find ways to get resources to them, both online resources and any other type of resources. But as concerns today's session, we're talking about EdTech. So yes, online resources. Okay. So let's go on. Question number 8. What is adaptive learning and how does it support student-centered education? What is adaptive learning and how does it support student-centered education? Adaptive learning and its support to student-centered education. Is it A, learning that adapts to societal changes only, or B, technology that adjusts to individual student needs, or C, one-size-fits-all learning approach, or D, a classroom without technology? Is it A, or B, or C, or D? Is it A, or B, or C, or D? Going. Oh, someone said none of the above. That's interesting. That's actually interesting. But there's actually an answer here. Adaptive learning, what is it? Is it learning that adapts to the societal changes only, or learning or technologies that adjust to individual students' need, or one-size-fits-all approach of learning, or a classroom without technologies? So to the person who said none of the above, let's see. There is actually an answer. It's the technology that adjusts to the individual student's need. Adaptive learning, learning that adapts to individual needs. Adaptive learning, learning that adapts to one person's need or a group of people's needs. All right. And adaptive learning is very necessary in today's world when we talk about education or technology in education. All right. So let's go on. Oh, that's it. We actually are done with our games. All right. We're done with our games. Our game is over, rather. Our game is over. And yes, certainly we have taken notes of everyone who participated. And we are definitely going to reach out to everyone who have won something from us. All right. Remember, it was the fastest fingers first situation. So everyone who answered the questions fastest are definitely going to hear from us. All right. Okay, so I hope we have enjoyed this session. I hope we have had a great time. So I want everyone to get their notepads. I want everyone to get their pens, get everything that you need, get your bottles of water and everything you need, and sit tight as we move on to the next session. All right. That's all from now, or that's all from me. I'm handing over to our able host, Damilari.
All right, thank you so much. To maybe that was an amazing icebreaker, and I know that we have a lot of smart people as audience, so they've picked the best and correct answers to those questions. So there are giveaways, there are subscriptions to give out. So we are going to select on first typed basis, and you are going to reach out for your gift and to know the kind of award you've kind of get yourself awarded for this section. Right about now, I want to move to the next section, and because we are kind of running out of time, so I want to bring on board now Esom Noful, who is recently awarded the best teacher in Nigeria. And I've worked with this young man, and he's a friend, and I could say that when it comes to teaching, he's very passionate about it. He teaches almost, I can see maybe 20 hours a day. In some cases, yeah, I'm that close to him to know that. And today we're having a fireside chat whereby we quickly be discussing what you need as an educator to really thrive, what you need to be resilient in what you do. So please, Asamonofu, would you please introduce yourself? We want to meet you again.
Yeah, I couldn't hear your last statement.
I said you introduce yourself. We want to get to know you.
Okay. So I am Esom Chidebube, a passionate mathematics and further mathematics teacher with over a decade experience in teaching and learning activities. So currently I was awarded the Mortina Best Teacher of the Year 2024 in Nigeria. I think that's much I can say for now. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you for joining us. And SNO4 Online Math is the most followed teacher online. Go and check YouTube, check Facebook, Instagram. You see he has a lot of followers, and he's been taking his time to help solve math phobia. He has been breaking down math concepts into simpler way for learners to learn. So he works across K-12 education and even beyond. So if you have any math troubles, math challenge, just reach out to him on social media. He's ready for you. So quickly, because of some educators we have as audience, and they're on this call to learn. So I wanted to share with us right now, what are the kind of barriers you faced as an educator, and how do you really scale through those barriers, and how did resilience play in your story?
Okay, I faced a lot of barriers in the teaching and learning activities, especially during the pandemic when schools were locked down. But I had this mindset that it was only buildings that were locked down and not learning. So that was really a very great challenge. So, and it was then that I developed and initiated the Esom North Online Maths, where I post videos online in all social media platforms, in Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Telegram, WhatsApp even. So in that time, I had to volunteer myself because I believe in service, I believe in passion, because we usually teach for the outcome, and the outcome will give us whatever we want at the end of the day. So I had to devote myself freely, waking up every morning before 7 a.m. to trek, because, you know, we had restriction of movement during the pandemic, to trek to radio stations at ABS when I was one of the teachers in Anambra Teaching on Air. We taught on radios and all that. So a lot of challenges I faced also. I was how to incorporate technology in my teaching and learning activities, because there are some topics you need to teach that without technology you can't actually do well in that topic. For example, if you want to teach bearing in mathematics, how would you really explain bearing without using Google Earth and all that? So it was really a very big challenge. And sometimes I have to put hands into my pocket, utilizing my own phone to get projectors, or to get maybe in smart TV, which I utilized in my classroom. Then when I was in Mariam, I used the smart TV where I had to share my screen and maybe discuss and showcase my students everything they need to see during that time. So it was really a tough time for me. As a teacher, I have faced a lot of challenges, and with perseverance, with the passion, because I'm not teaching for the income. I was teaching and still teaching for the outcome, because I believe that the outcome one day will give me the income I need. So you get, so honestly, it helped me also, because I never wanted to be a teacher when I was still in my secondary school, but because of what mathematics did to me, I decided to be a teacher to revenge what math did to me, because all through my secondary school days, I've been failing maths. But the funny thing is that each time I fail maths, I will be the best student in the class. I will fail maths and take first position at the end of the day. But for the first time in my life, in my year 11, I failed to maintain the first position because my result was so bad in mathematics. And that was when I told myself that I must be a teacher to revenge what mathematics did to me. And that is what I've been fighting up till now. Okay, yeah, I've been fighting math,
Wow.
and I will
Wow.
not stop. And I'm sure I've defeated maths to a great extent, but I will leave it. Yeah.
So wow, that was amazing to hear. You just mentioned that what's like the kind of passion that has been kind of that's keeping you going is more of like a revenge. Just come back. Oh, my mathematics did this to me. I must come back to revenge and see where the revenge has brought to you. I'm not telling our audience to go and revenge, right? But I'm just telling you that have something to fuel your passion. Sometimes because you might feel in a kind of business doesn't mean you cannot do it much more better than the way you've done it before. So don't give up and then keep pushing till you get what you want out of that
Yeah, sure.
challenges or even barriers that you may have. And another question for you, Chicks, because I've known you to be kind of resilient with what you do. So could you please share with our audience, in clear terms, as probably a private school educator or a government school educator, so what makes you resilient when it comes to being a teacher?
Okay, just the passion.
Hmm.
Once you are passionate about whatever you do, honestly, you can find a way to win any difficult situation. So I think to me, it's the passion I have for teaching and learning activities, because that's the only thing I can do. That's the only thing that gives me joy. Whenever I force a positive change in behavior in my students, honestly, I feel accomplished. So to me, to answer this question, I would tell you it's just a passion in helping students meet their need. Because to me, I don't see teaching as a job. I don't see teaching as a source of income. I see it as a way of changing behavior and building a better society. So what that has helped me win all this while is the passion I have for imparting knowledge in students. Okay. And that has helped me to find a way to win over any difficult situation I find myself. Yeah. Thank you.
That was amazing. Thank you for sharing that. That reminds me when I was in the classroom as a classroom teacher, there's this kind of joy, this expression you get on a learner's face when he or she gets that difficult math concept. You're like, that kind of expression gives you joy as a teacher, and that's just that keeps you going. Oh, you want to teach them, or you want to really get that kind of expression, and then it's been so nice, because those are the kind of things that helped fuel your passion as a teacher. You don't just, and it got to a stage where I started watching cartoons because I want to speak about cartoon in my classrooms, and now I'm still like a fan of animations, right? So teaching is just more about doing it for money. There should be more to teaching, like passion behind it. And thank you for sharing that. And I could tell from you that it's not about the money, or it's not about what you get. Just like someone mentioned that nobody wants to become a teacher, but today she is grateful. That's coming from Marvelous. All right, thank you, Marvelous, for saying that. About to just in a nutshell, you should be more driven by passion, because that is what will keep you going. I have another question for you, Chicks, because our time is kind of fast spent. What advice would you give to educators looking to innovate in their teaching practices? We know that you are using social media to teach. You are leveraging the kind of technology we have now to impact more lives, even globally. Because I personally know you have learners in the US, you have learners from the UK, all around the globe. And could you just share with us, because we have aspiring educators on the call who really wants to be like you, they want to really leverage what we have now. So what kind of advice would you give educators looking to innovate in their teaching practices?
Okay. Number one, passion. You must be passionate about what you do. You don't need to see teaching as a source of income. You teach for the outcome gives you income at the long run. So, but if you come for the outcome, if you come for the income, you won't get any reasonable result, because you must be discouraged at the end of the day. Teaching is a noble profession. Okay, so if you're passionate about it, the sky will be your limit. And also, I must tell you that teachers are not poor, because many people believe that teachers are poor. But I can count up to 10, 20, 30 teachers I know that are millionaires today in Nigeria even. I know not less than 30 of them that are millionaires. just because they are teachers. So teachers are not poor, but first of all, you must be passionate, you must be willing to sacrifice, and you must be willing to come online also, because many people are online looking for teachers to teach their kids, but many teachers are offline. So many people, many parents are online looking for teachers to tutor their kids, but many teachers are offline. Okay, so I know in the last 30 days, I've rejected not less than 30 lessons online because I am fully booked. So imagine when you are a teacher, when you are online and you are consistent with what you are doing. I believe if you are consistent in posting videos and you are passionate about it, and you also have a good methodology, in less than 6 months, you will be known. You'll be known, and many people can contact you to also deliver private lessons as well. So I encourage you to be passionate about your work, have the spirit of sacrifice, and also be consistent in whatever you are doing, and also be creative. Creativity matters a lot. That is what separates you from others. Creativity is the top. You have to be passionate, you have to be creative, you have to be consistent. Okay, I think that's all I've got to say for now. Yeah.
Thank you. I love the fact that you mentioned creativity, and that is one of the major strategies to work with as an educator. It could be in the classroom, it could be online, it could be even off classroom. Just know that you have to be creative with the practices you make use of as you teach your learners or as you give instructions. I remember because when I've been in the classroom for years, I've used different strategies to just give out instructions. Sometimes I just have to make some drawings on the cardboard. Apart from teaching it, sometimes I tell them stories in their cartoons. These are the kind of strategies, being creative with what you do. And as we are in the digitalized era now, you must be ready to make use of the available technology.
Innovation. I know one day I have hidden one of my hands one day just to teach fractions. Because I told them that fractions are not just mere numerators and denominators, that anything incomplete is a fraction, a part of a whole. So I told them, now I am a fraction because one of my hand is not here. So with that, those students cannot forget the meaning of fractions again. They see the real life application of fraction. Yeah.
No, that was amazing. Thanks for adding that. So as educators, you need to be creative with what you do. You need to make use of the available technologies to make your work easier. We have artificial intelligence there. I can't even start talking about that right now because that is my focus of research right now. There's a lot as regarding to that, prompt engineering, a lot about AI. So please, if you're a teacher out there, you're looking for a way to integrate technology into the way you give your instructions, or you're looking for innovative strategies, please, I will encourage you to look out for tools that could be of help to make your work much easier. Follow us more on LearnTech Initiative Africa on our social media platforms. We share a lot of information, the kind of tools you can use for whatever tasks you want to do as a teacher or educator. And right about now, Chooks, we have limited time, but I'm so happy that you're able to share your insights, your nuggets on what works and what has even worked for you. So on a final note, you just recently got awarded by Martina as the best teacher of the year. When I saw that news, I was so happy, like at last. Yes, this is a dream come true, because I know how long you've come and how passionate you've been about what you do. So how do you feel about this, and then what kind of advice would you give the educators out there?
Okay, I wouldn't advise any teacher to teach for the award. If you are teaching because you want to win an award, you cannot get any award. When your students win, you have won. If your students are able to pass, scale through, progress from one academic level to a better academic level, that is the greatest award you can win. So winning an award is a series of what you've done over time in the teaching and learning activities, which one day, that's why I've always said, teach for the outcome. The outcome will bring income. So all the outcome you've made for a series of years, one day will speak for you. And you're not just going to win the award in the country, you can win the best teacher in the world. I think someone has won that before. So there are a series of awards to be won, but the best is ensuring that your students win, ensuring that you're passionate about what you do, ensuring that you're not teaching just for the income, that you are teaching for the outcome. With time, the series of things you've done will help you to get the awards you deserve, definitely. So before I started teaching coming online, I don't know, in the last 4 years, I've not even smelled any kind of award. And I don't have it. I didn't have it in mind. I was just teaching because I want to sacrifice, that I want to help students learn, that I want any student to allow me not to have the fear, the phobia I had for mathematics. That was my goal. So at the end of the day, because I want my students to believe that myself that found mathematics difficult is not able to be a math teacher. I want them to see that someone that was not able to play to find math easy is now the best teacher in Nigeria. It will help them to focus. It will help them to believe that if I could do it, that them too can still excel. So I think that was why I dedicated the award to all the students struggling in math, that there is nothing like math phobia, that once you believe, you can push and continue excelling and doing well. So I advise every teacher not to focus on winning awards. Focus in ensuring that your students win. With time, all your students that have won and all the beautiful things you've done in ensuring that your students win can now help you when you are writing your story. And in that sense, you can now win. But if, as a teacher, if you just jump up and start fighting for awards, honestly, you keep on losing and losing and losing and losing and losing. At the end of the day, you'll be discouraged. So, but if you have series of years of hard work, series of years of service, series of things you've done, honestly, when you're writing your story, it will help you to excel and do properly. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Seminofo, and we are so really excited to have you join this section. Thank you for taking the time. I know you have busy schedule, and you deem it fit to join us on this section. So I think we might have a question from the audience, but I think we don't really have much time because we really need to jump on the last section for today. And we have been kind of keeping these amazing researchers, policymakers on the call for a couple of minutes now, and we really want them to join this section and share what's developed over the years, how is working for them, and how we could really reshape the educational strategy in Africa and in general. So thank you so much, Ezomnofu. It was nice having you on board and for sharing those kind of nuggets for the future award winners. Though they are not doing for the award, right? They are being passionate, but I believe that award comes for those who deserve them. So thank you and have a great evening. All right?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, bye.
So right about now, we want to really jump on the last section for today. And trust me, if you've not really joined any section, this is the best time for you, because this is what frames education in Africa. This is the future of education. We want to talk about research, we want to talk about policy, and how these things would really promote education in Africa. Because without policy, you might even have the best solution, best tool, but if there's a very bad policy, you are going nowhere. So join me to have wonderful people on board today. I'll be bringing in Dr. Christine. She has been on this call for a while now. Dr. Christine, if you can hear me, you can please turn your camera and join us. We have Dr. Lua Kemi here also. Then my wonderful friend, she will be moderating the section. Sharon, are you there? Can you hear me? And then we have Professor Tayo, who is the Tayo Logo, he is the Vice Chancellor of Maybury University, one of the best universities that is doing amazing work with innovative learning. So you really need to learn from all these folks. And also Dr. Adedeji, the Director of Research for CC, would be joining us once we're done with his technical days. We're able to bring him on board. So over to you, Sharon.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon from wherever you're tuning in. It's wonderful to have you all here with us. Before we get started into it, I'd like to begin by thanking our host, Damilare, the founder of LearnTech Initiative Africa, for bringing us together for this important conversation and discussion that we're having. Excuse me. And to each and every one of our audience here, thank you for joining us. Your presence and engagement makes conversations and discussions like this impactful. So before we get right into it, I'd like to introduce myself and introduce our awesome distinguished speakers that we have on the call today. My name is Sharon. I'm the convener of STEM Bright Futures. It's an initiative designed to empower girls of color to build their identities in STEM. I'm also a PhD student at Florida State University, and I also double as a research assistant as well. So today I am honored, excited to moderate this panel on policy and research for resilience and innovative education. We'll be discussing how education systems can meet both current challenges and future needs, particularly in Africa. And of course, we're privileged to have our group of experts here with us, each bringing diverse insights, perspectives. So rather than introducing them myself, I think I'd like to invite each panelist to share a bit about their background and work. So I'll start with Professor Tayo Oladiran, please. Can you introduce yourself, sir?
All right, thank you, Sharon. Good afternoon, my distinguished panelist. My name is Tayo Arulugu. I'm a professor of computer system engineering and currently the vice chancellor at MIVA Open University, where we are striving to expand access to education in Africa and beyond without compromising quality. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Arulugu. Forgive me if I don't get your pronunciation correctly. Thank you for sharing your background. We're excited to hear about your perspective today. And next, let me invite Dr. Oluwakemi Olurinola to introduce herself and share about her background to us.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and to the panelists and the audience present here. So I'm Oluwakemi Olurinola. I'm an EdTech educational technologist, focusing on the application of learning science in the use of technology, of course. I also work in the area of digital pedagogies and recently delved into AI in education. I work with Olabisi Onabanjo University, Department of Science and Technology Education. I also consult and train for various organizations like Microsoft, UNESCO, GIP, and some other organizations, basically focusing on teacher training, especially in the digital pedagogy area. So that's me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Olurinola. It's inspiring to see how your dedication to making education more adaptable through technology. And we have Dr. Kristen here in the house as well. Dr. Kristen, please, could you introduce yourself to us?
Thank you very much, Sharon. Thank you, my fellow panelists. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. I'm Christine Mutesi from Rwanda. I've been into academia for quite several years, educationist, technologist, but now I've been bumped into the part of policy making now, being my current position. I'm the division manager in charge of accreditation, standards and qualification framework at Higher Education Council. And this is the national regulatory body of Rwanda. But before joining that regulatory body, I've been an expert into it, dealing with quality issues here and there. I've been doing inspection in different audits and checks towards the better quality we want in Rwanda, and mostly at the higher learning institution level. So it's such an honor to join the panel, and I look forward to the fruitful deliberation together. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kristen. Thank you so much for sharing your background and experience with us. And I also believe that your experience in quality assurance and program management, like you mentioned, would add great depth to our discussion today. And finally, we have Dr. Adedeji Adeniran with us. Dr. Adedeji, please, could you introduce yourself and your background to us?
Okay, thanks everyone. Apologies, my camera is actually not working. I don't know why, and I'm part of tech problem. So Adeniro is the name. I'm a researcher at the Center for Study of Economies of Africa, which is a think tank. I'm the director of research there, and I am leading the education research at the at the center. So happy to be here this afternoon, and looking forward to fruitful discussion.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adeliji, for sharing your background and experiences with us briefly. So with such a knowledgeable panel that we have here, I believe we're in for a great discussion. So let's get right into it. So I think my first question will be directed to Dr. Adeniran. Dr. Adeniran, please, given your background in education policy and economic resilience, how do you see current government policies impacting educational innovation in Africa? And if you don't mind, could you share any examples of policies that have been effective?
Thank you so much. I think that's very pack questions. And I mean, really surveying the space. So last year, actually, we did a research where we do a scoping study of EdTech in Africa to look for policies and everything. And generally, I think what I can say is that in terms of is it effective or not effective, I think I mean, people tend to claim that most innovations tend to be effective. I mean, if I'm an innovator, if I develop stuff, I have to really say it's really working. And so such innovations are more what I would describe as market tested effectiveness, rather than we saying maybe study, piloting, and really knowing that it's working. We take it to the market. If it works, then it's working. If it's not working, we can assume that maybe it's not really the right market. I mean, all sorts of things why it's not working. And one of the problems there is the fact that innovators generally really have the idea of, if I innovate, it's good. It's only the market that I need to really apply this to. And so the problem then is that we are not seeing a lot of innovation that is scaling. But that doesn't mean that innovation is not working. I can give you an example. I'm in Nigeria, so I can give you some sort of example that I've seen that really work or has very good potential. For example, the Learning Passport launched by federal government and UNESCO, I think it's, to me, a very good policy options. Why? I think it's really leverage on low cost technology. It's very adaptable and very resilient. What I mean by that is the fact that it's not just, I mean, we know we have electricity problem, we know we have internet problem. So if you build a kind of entry point on those very high-end technology, it might not be very effective. So those are kind of technology that really someone can pick it up in the village and have some level of access to it. So those kind of things have been work. And I think that's also speak for you lessons. But in my really interaction with teachers recently, I was asking them about which of these technology do they use, including the one that the school is even paying for. And in terms of frequency of use, I'm really surprised that the best one most of them point to me is YouTube. So I will claim that one of the most effective EdTech is YouTube. And I think many people listening to me also would agree with that. I mean, if you don't really want to know something, practicality of stuff, YouTube is there. If you don't, I mean, so it's a kind of tools that I think really work effectively. And I think what makes it work for me is the fact that it's always there, and it's at the pace of the learner, and it is easy to learn. So, which is, if you're a teacher, you can also integrate this system into your work environment easily. It's adaptable. Learners can learn at their own pace. So those kind of, I think, very small qualities makes technology to scales and make when we introduce some of these innovations to be effective. I will leave it there. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Adeniran, for sharing such perspective. I completely agree with you. And from my own perspective as a STEM Bright Future initiator, I see how responsive policies really empower institutions to innovate as well. So that leads me to my next question to Professor Arulogun. So, Prof, please, building on Dr. Adeniran's insight, how have policies influenced NIVA Open University's approach to making higher education both accessible and adaptable?
Okay, all right, thank you, Sharon. And I will start from where Dr. Adeniran stopped. Policy changes a lot of things because the government drives most of the innovations in Nigeria. Not necessarily that they drive it, but they have to put a framework that ensures that there are innovative activities in the country. And when you look at it, for Miva Open University, or let me start with this. Let me give 3 examples of innovative policies that government has put in place for education that is driving innovation. First one is the curriculum. There is a core curriculum minimum benchmark CCMAS that has been put in place. And what this means is that universities can actually innovate with 30% of the content, and the NUC has ownership of the 70%. And with that, as we move on, we'll be able to innovate, and universities will be having 70%. They can innovate with the curriculum and then have their own content, have their own values, and then culture. So that is one that is working. And another policy that is also working very well is the open schooling policy that ensures that out-of-school children are engaged using existing infrastructure available with little or minimal upgrade, but by having community learning centers, and they can use it. Mostly during the afternoon or the evening hour, most of the schools, primary schools and lower schools are actually not being used at those periods. So it's just to optimize that. And the third example that is actually related to Miva Open University is the renewed implementation of open and distance learning policy. Before last year, it was only National Open University and some other learning centers in some, what do I call it? They are now dual mode university. They were a single mode before, but they are now dual mode university. But with the policy, it means that the government is trying to increase access to education. Yeah. So that's one that is working, and that's why Miva is even here, and 4 and 3 other private open universities. So policies are good and they are making positive impact. And most time the challenges we're having is about implementation of the policies. And also most of the policies let me put it this way, that we need data-informed policy formulation and then putting them into perspective in terms of, instead of implementing the policy as a whole, why not focus-based implementation? Then we learn from it, adjust and fine-tune the policy, then we implement in phases instead of one single implementation. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prof. That was so incredible and fantastic. Hearing how policy drives Miva's mission to increase accessibility is inspiring. And I like how you highlighted about accessibility, as you pointed out. I think that is also very important. And you also mentioned about open schooling. We see how that inclusive policy in education can make an enormous difference. Thank you so much, Prof, for sharing that important point. And I think my next question will be directed to Dr. Oluwakemi Olurinola. Dr. Olurinola, please, since you work closely with data in educational technology, what types of data should policymakers focus on to make well-informed decisions?
Okay, thank you for that. Yes, I think for me, recently, what has actually helped my understanding of that aspect has been my work with the MIT Solve Leap Fellows, because basically it's all about leveraging evidence for action. That's what Leap is, leveraging evidence for actions to promote change. And that's what our policies should be doing. And so if we don't have this data, like has been said by my previous panelists, to keep evidence-based policies, then we would have issues. And he mentioned something about the CCMAS, and for instance, I'm talking about data from the educational technology. Before the CCMAS, which is the curriculum that was brought by NUC to guide the universities, we had the BMAS, which is the basic minimum acceptable curriculum, and then the CCMAS is the core. Now, I looked at, before the BMAS, let me say this, before the BMAS, I'm speaking from my experience as a teacher and a teacher trainer working in the education faculty. We had one compulsory course in technology throughout the years that students were going to take the teachers program, which was Introduction to Educational Technology. And as an ed tech person, I of course realized that was not enough. And so when the BMAS came up, an extra course was added, which is ICT in education. And I felt, yes, we are actually making progress. But then the CCMAS came up after the BMAS, and they were removed from the core. And I wondered, because looking at the reason for the CCMAS, and I quote, it says, to ensure university education is responsive to societal needs and reflects 21st century realities. And so that made me sit through with the other programs, the core for the other teaching programs. And I find that a lot of the technology aspect had been removed. As a matter of fact, even the educational technology program that was run from the graduate programs did not even have representation in that document until the association, raised the issue, and then it was like an added. So I asked, what are the data? How was this formed? Was it data driven? Were there evidence to actually formulating these proper policies? And we see a lot of policies being developed without them going to do the research, collecting the data that will inform these policies. So going to your questions, what kind of data should they be looking at? Basically, first and foremost, everybody during the education sector, we look at the students' outcome. How is this policy or how is this innovation influencing students' academic performance and all that? So that's the very general data that everyone kind of looks at. But the other data that needs to be considered, things like career readiness. Are institutions, are they actually preparing our graduates for the present day workforce? What policies are you putting in place to ensure that we don't have unemployable graduates? Because we've had that terminology imputed now. We have unemployed and then you have unemployable graduates. Institutions, you have policies to ensure career readiness, workforce preparation, and then data concerning your teacher qualifications and experience, and even the teacher programs. For instance, recently you had some vocational courses added to the secondary school subjects, and without, I also wondered, so what kind of data was gathered? Do we have teachers to teach those courses already? Have there been, do we have educational institutions that are already raising teachers to fit into that, in those gaps? What's the plan, and all that? So you require, before you set up sortings, you need to get that data ready. You also have data. The other things I think you consider about is access. Yes. What are our demographics, like the students? Where do we have more students and all that? Things like socioeconomic status. That help you drive evidence-based policies. And special education and support services, that's an area also that really needs attention. You're talking about resource allocation. How do you, effectively allocate resources if you don't have data concerning what it costs to have a child in classroom? What are the teacher-students ratio? Do we need more teachers and all that? What are the infrastructure and facilities? What's the quality and what's the availability of those things? So all those technology infrastructure, of course, is also very key. And then program effectiveness. You set up a program. Do we look at do we evaluate it regularly? What's the outcome-based evaluation that gives us data to know if what is the programs that we have set out is effective? And I'll also say implementation fidelity. We need data on the implementation, because if you're running a program, you're putting a policy. Are they implementing these policies like you have already, you have designed the policy to be? So implementation fidelity is also a very key area. But there's quite a lot of data we could gather in where the education sector is concerned, but I'll just stop here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Olurinola, for highlighting the types of data policymakers should focus on. I think I've seen similar needs for data with my initiative, STEM Bright Futures, as well. I think that understanding data points around access and outcomes, I think it's so important for driving impactful decisions like you have mentioned. Dr. Kristen, to have you back here. I also want to get your view from a quality assurance perspective. What data do you find most valuable in shaping policy that supports high standards in education?
Thank you very much, moderator. And thank you to other panelists. Those were just insightful deliberations around the innovations and the research you're talking about regarding the policies that are in place. I think before I touch a bit of the key data the policymakers need, we first of all need to understand, do we have really the active policies? All these are the policies that have been designed and they have been kept in those cupboards, and they are only revisited when there is an issue coming up. I think especially when it comes to audits and follow-up assessments and institutional licensing and all that. So quality is something holistic. It touches not only on academic part, but also to non-academic world. So the data may not even go far from what Orinora said. We need to understand, if I'm a policymaker and I've set policies to guide in teaching and learning, for example, or integrate technology we are talking now, or any aspect, I need first of all to follow up whether these policies are working. It has been realized that most of these policies are not followed. They're just well documented, but they're not followed. I think what is missing out is not like we don't have policies in place, but how are they enhanced? How are they improved? How are they revisited based on the current trends in technology, the innovation we are talking? We are still maybe using a policy that was passed in some 10 years back, and the growth in technology has happened today. We don't want to embrace this change. It is always coming as a surprise. Remember what happened to this COVID time. Everyone was proved wrong. We need to just embrace, like, technology is there and it is here to enable us. So coming back to your point, I think we need to enhance our internal policies more than these broader policies. If these internal policies are enabled, and then everyone is responsible to know, from the tactical group down to the last mile, the teacher, the custodians now to implement the policy well. If the internal policies set vis-a-vis the broader policies that have been set by the ministries and other line organs, we are not imposing people to do what is not possible, but we need them to do what is possible within their proximities. And they have all these policies set in front of them. So looking at what a student, the exit profile we want, what did this person achieve in the process? I think there is a presenter who said people need to focus on the outcome, for they will generate the income. Honestly, if we don't train our students well, they are the only ones to prove that we are capable of teaching. They are the only ones to prove us that they are capable of doing. So, like, from the perspective of a regulator, I am enabling this student to say, you are capable of delivering into something in a specific discipline. If I cannot authenticate that, meaning I am doubtful on what has been taught. So why should I be doubtful if the policies are there? It's because they have not been well enhanced. So internal policies are key. Again, those flexible policies, the policies that can act in form of agile, allow changes, allow development, allow other new insights on these things. We should not keep these policies as static ones. They should be flexible enough, even vis-a-vis their standards that have been set. We need to look at their graduation rates. We always graduate students, but they're all piled at the labor market. They're not meeting the most needed requirements. Why? Do you think it's because there were no policies? It's because maybe somewhere they skipped the right needed skills to be applied on the labor market. So who are the graduates now we release after going through that long journey? Do we only stop at the credits they are covering in terms of content? Do we only stop at the research they are doing? Are their research work being considered? Where do we start and where do we end? I think we should nurture a student from admission to the graduation time. So the quality in place there can be now vividly, be keenly monitored, because at least you know, I have admitted an eligible student who is ready to do like a project life running. You start with an end in mind. Who will I become at the end of this program? Then this person can be able to gain the skills required and even beyond, so that they can fit for the purpose. Also, talk of the equity and access to data. I think our data has been abused. I'm very sorry to use this word. We have a lot of data from law, structured, and just name it, but they are not well used. They are not well interpreted. They are not well given to the responsible people who can use them to make the well-informed decisions. I think they need to have that equal access. Whether a student, a lecturer, an administrator, they all need to have equal access to this data so that they can contribute equally towards an inclusive, improved decision-making done in this institution. Maybe that inclusion of metrics, the data on students with disabilities, the language issues, other special populations, reflect on all aspects. Don't just reflect only on academic realms alone, because you may teach good mathematics, but without discipline, then this math dies in one's bearer. So I don't know whether I'm making myself clear. So they need to balance the wheel. So how about the teaching quality and staffing data? There are several kinds of data the policymakers need to especially look into. How are these teaching methodologies done? How about the staffing data now? Are we having competent staff to do this? Can we enforce on their trainings? Can we bring on board the new era of technology and try to integrate it in even their mind, try to instill that there is a room for change? We need to migrate from those people born before computers to those that are now on the digital era we are talking about. So how are people ready to embrace these changes? Now talk of the school climate, engaging data in every aspect, make sure whichever decision is made is now based on the right data. And then how do we say it's the right data? It is coming from the right source, driven at the right time, within the right environment. Maybe I can cease my talk there. If I am given another chance, I will elaborate more on the quality issues now. Thank you very much. Voice. The voice
Your mic is muted.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know my mic was muted. Thank you, Dr. Kristen. I was saying you've talked about the different types of data and the importance of data in quality assurance. I also agree with you because you talked about how follow-up on policy is important. I think in Africa as a whole, we need to always revisit policy. We need to refine and modify this policy because that's beauty of research. We need to follow up on our ideas, to follow up on our policies, to make sure that it is dynamic and evolving. Thank you so much, Dr. Kristen. And back to our professor, please. In your experience, I want you to briefly share with us, how can educational system incorporate local community needs? Because initially you talked about access. So I want to know how our educational system can incorporate local community needs and cultural context when designing policies that are both resilient and innovative.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Yes.
For policy formulation, we need to carry everybody along because since we want data-driven policy formulation, all the parents, community, even community community leaders, everybody must be carried along, and you get feedback from them. Even students, we need to get feedback from the student to understand what is happening so that you can now formulate the policy. For example, the open schooling policy, because you want people, because by the time the policy is put in place, you want to put infrastructure in the community and you want community to take ownership of it. If you don't involve all the stakeholders, even the parent, the student, those infrastructure will disappear. And what happens is that we want to ensure that everybody is carried along. And that is the best way to go, so that you keep on getting feedback from them all the time. And that is the best way to formulate policy now.
Thank you so much, Prof, for sharing. I think you also shared that from Mivas University Community Centered Approach. Thank you. I also agree that it's essential to bring different voices of community into the educational policy. To quickly wrap this up, because we are running out of time, I just want to ask Dr. Adeniran, from your research, right, how do you see policy better reflecting and addressing these diverse cultural needs in African communities?
So thank you so much. I think the reflection has a little bit covered that so much. How do we, so as a policymaker, I think I'm happy that a policymaker is in the room, and she has actually reflected a lot on that. I think as a policymaker, one needs to just really see the policy context is very complex. It's very complex because we have so many groups and needs. And sometimes some of these needs and group, they are not really complementary to one another. So for a policymaker, how do you solve that problem? It's very big. And one thing is, one shot policy don't always solve the problem. Most times it's about you really incorporating your policy with experimentation, whereby you implement this policy and you use data to track whether the intention is being really realized. You then update your policies, implementation approach, given the evidence that are taking place. So I believe strongly that as policy in order to reflect the contextual cultural issues, we just need, in a way, from the beginning, let's know that those voices need to be there. In as much as possible, let's curate something that really try to solve this problem. But don't let us really always assume that because we've really drafted this policy, it has solved all this problem. In fact, sometimes policy creates its own problem, whereby we need to solve it furthermore. So, it's about we learning. If we don't really see it as learning and as a process, I think we are going to miss it. And that's what I would actually like to emphasize. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Adeniran. I think I'll also call this culture responsive policies, just as we have culturally responsive teaching. It's important in fostering inclusivity in education. And this is such great conversation. I wish we had time to talk more on this, but to just wrap this up and conclude on this, I'll ask Dr. Oluwakemi to tell us how we can ensure equitable access to education, especially in rural and undeserved areas, undeserved communities. How can we ensure equitable access to innovative educational resources?
Okay, so equitable access, we need to,
yes,
it needs to be driven, of course, again, by needs assessments. You have to know what it is that community actually needs. What do they have on ground? Because, I just saw a question that was shared during this, and, you had options. And my response to that was none of the above. Because if you put online courses for low resource community, what of the internet? What of the devices? So, such communities, when you go into such communities, you need to do a needs assessment. You don't imagine or presuppose that you know what that community needs. And so you need to do a needs assessment, and whatever intervention or innovation you're creating for that community is based on evidence, is based on data that you have. And having said that, things like for such communities, we've had people where they have learning centers. And so because you may not be able to reach every school, so you're able to build a community learning center where you could have the technology, infrastructure, the internet and all that. And learners can come there to do. We've seen organizations actually look for offline solutions. And for instance, I will give an example. For instance, I work with the correct simulations. And why that is a good solution is because I can download those simulations and run them offline in my classroom. So such solutions actually have these communities in mind. So that's one. The training of the educators, the training of the teachers is also very key. So teacher training for this community is also very key. And we can take and not just the teachers alone. You could actually have we've talked about it, that community where you're not just focusing on the school, but maybe a leader or some other youths also benefit from whatever intervention that you are. So the infrastructure, digital literacy, accessible formats that can work on any device. You're developing an application. You think about that, smartphones, laptops, and all that. That's also key. Then of course, really available. So that also helps with that. But key also is establishing that community learning center or that community-based initiative that is funded or driven by the needs assessment or data that you already have from the community you want to actually impact.
Thank you so much, Dr. Oluwakemi. Thank you. In all of this, I think what I would pick from it is the need for targeted support, right? Equity is indeed central to resilient educational system. Thank you so much. And to come to a conclusion, like as we wrap up, I'd like to hear from each one of our awesome speakers for today. What is the single most important action we need to take to make our education systems more resilient and innovative for the future? Feel free to jump in and answer the question, please. We'll be concluding with this.
I would like to say, listen to the students also. The students' voice is also very important.
Yes, very important. Always listen to your student. That's a very great point, Dr. Oluwakemi. Dr. Christine, you wanted to say something?
Thank you so much. I also have a quick one. One is to make our internal policies more functional and effective. Two,
yes,
it is also to look within our collaboration mechanisms. Yes. That private-public partnership is key to enforce on whatever we are doing. Yes. Then engage the three categories: students, parents, and then the teaching community. I think we will get there. Thank you very much.
Collaboration is very important. Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Christine. Anyone else? Okay.
Yes. I think from my end, we should make our education future ready so that we provide authentic education to our learners so that they can fit into the future, because we don't know what will happen in the future, but we can actually anticipate so that it's not just be that they just memorize and write it down, but they should be able to do. We should keep on giving them project-based assignments, and then just doing something so that they will be able to practicalize all this, so that when they graduate, wherever area they find themselves, they'll be able to fit in, and that will increase the employability rate of our graduates. So that is the key thing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Prof. I think you touched on a very key, important point about the educational system in Africa today. Memorization, which is a challenge that I see more of the educational system facing. It's good to always give our students project-based learning pedagogy and also hands-on and engagement learning experience. So they're not just passive learners in the learning process. They are active, right? Thank you so much, Professor, for taking us to that part. And Dr. Adedeji, do you have anything to say to us right now?
I think maybe what I would just want to really highlight is the fact that we need to create a data system such that we can use data more effectively. But more importantly is that we need to really create that system in such a way that our data speaks to one another. Really, we collect a lot of data. Policymakers collect data. Teachers in school have some data. Even researchers has data. But if you look at it, these are data that doesn't really communicate with one another. So we can't really make or scale it or use it as insight. So we need to move from data to insight. And that's actually what data system really is all about, building it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adini. We're moving from data to insight. Thank you all for this incredible discussion that we had today. I think today's discussion has shown us that building resilience and innovative educational system will require collaboration, not just collaboration, inclusion, and the commitment moving from data to insight to adapt to our future needs. And a big thank you to our panelists, Professor Arulogun, Dr. Adeniran, Dr. Olurinola, and Dr. Christine for your time and expertise in this conversation today. Thank you to everyone in the audience for joining us. Thank you, our host, Damilare. Do you have anything to say to us? Take it away.
Yes, this like one of the best sections so far on this platform, and this is kind of giving us some expositions on what to look at when it comes to policy making. And as a doctoral researcher here in the United States, one thing I've learned is that in the educational system here, for every policy is being made or that has been made, there's always an ongoing research on that same policy. And then the educational system here is ready to fund any research going on that. So if let's say there was a policy being made last year based on some research being conducted in any university here, there will still be like a post-research activities going on to ensure the effectiveness, or should we rebrand this, or should we even stop this policy? So I think that is where the higher institution in Nigeria and Africa would definitely put in their own intake, because they are kind of the research organizations we have more to conduct more research, even post-policy research that would really drive more innovation when it comes to creating effective and resilient policies in our educational system. So thank you once again, everybody, for creating the time to hear from your weight of experience, your insights, just to bless our audience, and also to add your voice to the educational gaps we have in Nigeria and Africa at large, and even globally. So thank you, Dr. Christine. Thank you, Dr. Oluriola. Thank you, Prof. Tayo Arulogun. Thank you, my own mentor of research, Dr. Didiji. Thank you so much for coming together to really give us this kind of nuggets and things to walk away with. I think this is a very remarkable section, and we are not going to recover from it anytime soon. So thank you once again for joining us. And Sharon, you've been so amazing moderating this kind of discussion, and trust me, this was really amazing. Thank you once again.
Thank you for having me.
Enjoy the rest of the day.
Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you
very much.
Bye.
I think there was a signal cut.
Thank you.
All right. Hello, Damila, are you there? Can you hear me? Sorry, we had to just do a lot on this section, and it took some time now. Right about now, we are going to be bringing in Damilola to give the final presentation for today. Are you there, Dami? Can you hear me?
Hope you can hear me.
Oh, cool. Okay. So welcome on board. It's so nice having you. We are so sorry for delaying you at the backstage for a while. We ran out of time, and now we are here. So let's have it, and I'm sure you are well prepared. Is your camera working?
Okay, 1 minute. Like
Okay.
you said, I need to.
So before she comes up, I just want to let us understand that this is ED-volution Summit, and we are running up. This is the last section for today, and then it's been so amazing getting to learn from experts, think tanks, and even great and valuable people in the African education ecosystem, and they've kind of blessed us, shared a lot of insights and things to work with going forward, but not to be resilient and be innovative when it comes to the kind of educational solution we are providing, and the kind of those strategies, the methodologies to work with in the educational space. And this summit is brought to you by LearnTech Initiative Africa. This is an organization, a dynamic one, dedicated to revolutionizing education in African landscape, leveraging the power of artificial intelligence, AI, games and simulations, then virtual reality. So we are using the emerging technologies to revolutionize education in Africa. And if we really buy into mission. Join us. Let's do this together. It's going to be wonderful and amazing to really help transform learning in the African landscape. So we run a lot of campaigns. We take technology to the schools, secondary schools in Nigeria. We train educators on how to implement these kind of tools in the classroom, how they, even with little low text, how they could impact learning. So these are the things we do at LearnTech Initiative Africa. And very soon we'll be launching our own tool, which will definitely be free for Africa secondary schools to jump on and to make learning more effective. So that is just a brief of what we do and what we intend to do in the next couple of months at LearnTech Initiative Africa. I've been so excited to host you guys. Now join me to welcome Damilola to the stream. Damilola she's the director of TCK Zone, and she's doing great work helping kids to learn in the African landscape. That she is a speaker, and she has been, with her experience and expertise, she has been helping to transform education in Africa. Can you hear me now, Dami? Are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi. It's good to be here.
Good to meet you. Thank you for taking the time to join us here, and thank you for blessing our audience with your praises and with your insights that we believe will be remarkable and is going to transform education in the African landscape. So good to see you.
Absolutely. Hi, Damilare. Good to be here. Thank you for having me on the conference. Yes, I look forward to sharing my insight.
Okay, please do it.
Okay, so do I share my screen?
Yes,
can I do that? Okay.
Okay, so while we wait for her to get a presentation ready, so once again, thank you for joining us on this call today. We are LearnTech Initiative Africa, and we are just on a simple but a robust mission to revolutionize education in Africa. So it has been so nice having great people joining us from different part of the country, different part of the world, from US, from Mexico, from Kenya, from Tanzania, and from South Africa. So it's been so nice hearing perspectives from different locations of the globe. All right, Dami is back. All right, Damila is back. So would you please share your screen now? Oh, great.
Okay, I'm currently sharing my screen. All right, perfect. So you can see my screen now, and you can see me as well. So we're ready to kickstart. Hi, everyone. Good to be here once again. My name is Oluwadamilola Ojo, and I am the Executive Director of the Create Kids Zone. So today I've been asked to speak. Yes, they told me to speak on this topic. Resilience, a gateway to the future, right? So we're going to be talking about resilience and how resilience should be applied to our education sector and why it really needs to be taught in schools and also to be used as a transformation method for how we plan for students and also how we prepare them for the skills of the future. So I am Truth Bier. Once again, I am the Executive Director of TCK Zone. Basically, I am scaling digital skills education across underserved communities and students in Africa. So what we do is we train them on digital and entrepreneurial skills and ensure that they are well equipped and they are well versed with necessary skills that the future has prepared for them. So today, like I said, I'm talking about resilience. So let me just dive into it by taking you down the memory lane. Yeah, so speaking of resilience, I can share that from my own personal story. So I finished from the university. I studied computer science, by the way. Yes, my fellow computer scientists. And on finishing from school, it dawned on me that I wasn't, or we weren't even being equipped with the right skills, like the actual application of technology out there, that the skills that employers want to employ you for, right? So I had to take it upon myself to learn other skills. So the months before I went for my NYSC, all of my savings and everything that I saved all through school, what I did at that point was to take them and get data. Thankfully, I had a laptop. I'm pretty sure there were some of us that started our tech journey that didn't even have laptops, right? So I had to take it upon myself to learn, get new skills. And I saw an internship that required me to then come into the office. And I remember back then that from Monday to Friday, I would literally sleep in the office and say, hey, I must learn this thing because, yeah, speaking of transportation and whatnot, really didn't have much savings. So being there, learning, taking this internship, and just trying to grasp the skill that I actually needed for the future that I was in, right? It took a lot of grit, it took a lot of time from me. So, right, that is my own story of resilience, and I know that a couple of you can relate, right? Starting from there and being able to grow even as a UI/UX designer, and then even transition to now owning my own company, right? It's a lot, and that is what resilience is all about. So a lot of us know resilience as rising every time we fall, right? So when we say resilience, okay, that's okay, whenever I have that strength to like stand up whenever I fall, just like babies, right? When they are learning to work, they fall, they stand up, they fall, they stand up until they get the hang of it and they start working, and then from there start running, right? So, but resilience is beyond learning to rise, right? Anytime you fall, but it's also being able to grow beyond that, right? And overcome like any form of challenges that might come your way. So let me go back. Another definition people would say is the ability to bounce back from setbacks. So yes, that is correct. But like I said, it's more than just bouncing back. Sometimes some people bounce back and they're like stuck on that spot, right? For instance, or you lose all your money due to something, and then yes, you've been able to bounce back. Now you now have yourself, right? But now you are still at a spot. But resilience fully is being able to bounce back, and after that, move forward, especially when the times are tough. And please, you agree with me that education in Nigeria, I would say it's tough, right? Nigeria generally, right? Or the situation we found ourselves in Africa as a whole. So I'll be talking about what exactly is resilience and how can we be prepared for it. So yes, I'm trying to adjust my screen so we can see the full thing. All right. Okay, so ask yourself this question: why aren't you doing more? Think of all of the things you said you wanted to do and ask yourself what exactly is holding you back. Why aren't you doing more? So resilience is adaptability, okay? Being able to adapt to whatever situation you find yourself. In education, resilience is being able to adapt to new changes. So I was listening to the panel session that they held earlier, and someone spoke about the situation we had during COVID, right? A couple of schools, a couple of people were able to adjust.
Sorry to interrupt. Your slide is
Okay.
still on page 1. Was that intentional? Your slide.
No,
I think we could only see page 1 here.
Okay.
So do you mind resharing your screen?
Yes, I'm doing that.
All right.
Okay, let me know. Is it moving now?
I'm coming. Give it a minute.
Yes, so it's changing. It's changing now, right? Yes.
Yeah, right. So we on page 3 now, page 8 now, I guess, right? So we've not really been seeing this presentation since. Oh, I've missed a lot. Oh.
Okay. Don't worry about that. Okay, so I was saying before, right, in education, in the panel session that they had held previously, we were talking about the COVID situation we had, right? So resilience is adaptability. So when a situation like that comes, are you prepared to adjust your curriculum, your method of teaching, right, to be able to do what you normally do in a better way that fits the situation? So that is what resilience in education means, right? We saw some people being able to migrate and use online tools almost immediately, but we also saw some schools that they just had to close down for those several months. So resilience is adaptability. Education shouldn't have to stop regardless of what is happening, right? Schools need to adapt. Educators need to innovate, right? Students need to find new ways to learn, right? Those are resilience. Some challenges would also test your strength and determination, like my slide says. And resilience is all about perseverance. So when the challenges come, would you be able to persevere? So would you be able to stay committed? So something about learning is sometimes it can get tiring. Right? You might be taking a course or you start a course and you'll be like, when will this course finish? Especially those that take online courses, I know they can relate. And it's more or less like you have to just show up and keep learning and keep persevering until you finish that particular goal that you have set for yourself. Resilience is also about innovation. So how can you innovate? How can you ensure that you are taking the right step, right, to continuously thrive wherever you find yourself? So skills now is needed, right? So beyond the math and English that you do in school, how can we incorporate and innovate to ensure that all of these skills are being added, right, to what are being taught in schools? So let's continue. So what does resilience mean to you? Resilience can mean different things to different people. So what does resilience mean to you? I'd love to see that in the comment section. And also think about what challenges you faced, right, individually, and how you think you were able to come out of it, and what and how you can define resilience from that. So next up, I'm going to move to what role resilience play in shaping the future of education. So I wrote in my slide here that our education system is in trouble. Yes, it is. Our education system is facing a lot of challenges, right? There's funding issues, there's resource limitations, there's outdated curriculum. There is like the fast pace of technological advancements that our education system cannot even meet up to in Nigeria and also across Africa. So, and yet they say we are the leaders of tomorrow, the children, the students in the classroom, to face the world and overcome whatever is before them, right? But who exactly is going to equip them for this future that we're talking about? So it's beyond just writing exams now. When they come out of school, would the writing of exams actually help them face what is out there? So how should resilience be applied when we're talking about our education system? Number one, I would say, is building an adaptive curriculum, a curriculum that can easily change and adapt and evolve depending on what the new trend is or what the new advancement that has come up in is, right? So incorporate adopting project-based learning, for instance, in our schools would go a long way to help students be able to practice that, okay, you are preparing, like you're preparing them for the actual challenges that are going to face. So case studies, for instance, should be applied. So I would see exams as, instead of saying true or false or fill in the gap or whatnot, give them real scenarios, case studies, let them think outside the box and answer those questions, like put themselves in those places. Another thing I would say in a way resilience should be applied is encouraging a growth mindset. So students should be able to learn that failure is part of growth, right? But for students now, it's more or less like when you fail, like that's the end, right? But they need to be able to know that failure sometimes comes in your journey to growth, and you being able to learn about what made you fail would help you get better and grow better, right? So the future is not about getting it right the first time, right? But it's about your ability to keep trying over and over again. So a student being imbibed with that knowledge, that it's not about like you've tried once and you fail, but even if you keep getting no, right, keep trying and until you get your yes, right? Another point resilience, or another way resilience should be applied, is fostering resilient educators. So we see a lot of teachers now that I would say they've not been able to solve their own challenges. Then you want them to come and encourage the younger ones to be resilient, right? So teachers themselves should be able to serve as role models, right, to the students, right? Have they themselves been able to get to that point to push through whatever challenges is coming their own way, right? Have they been able to
Are you there, Dami? I think there's a network glitch there. I just wait for a couple of minutes to see, because I'm really enjoying that section of resilience and how educators could be resilient. So, she said something that really caught my attention, like if teachers are not motivated and you really want them to impact the learners, how do you expect them to do that when they are not even resilient enough? How could they impact being resilient? Oh, welcome back.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I dropped out. Okay. Yeah, so I was talking about the teachers, right? So yes, how would a teacher that has not probably solved his or her own issues now come in front of the student and say, yeah, you guys need to fail and then try and keep trying, right? So they have to be able to learn the skill themselves so that they can now apply it, right, in teaching and encouraging the student. I'll take an example of one of the teachers I had growing up, right? So for me, that teacher was someone I looked up to, right? And at some point, I felt that was like the peak of where you could get to. But beyond where the teacher is, right, student need to be able to understand that, okay, beyond the four corners of this classroom, like there's a whole world out there, right? And a lot of things we need to learn from. Sorry, I'm not able to bring my slides back up, but I think I'll just keep speaking from this. Hope you don't mind.
Yeah, so we're already rounding up, so you can do that.
Yes, I am. Okay, so the final point is now, like, how do we fully apply resilience to speaking in the classroom, right? Talking about the future of education now. So how do we apply resilience in that manner, right? Number one, the first thing we need to do is to ensure that the government are trying and doing a lot more to ensure that some of the challenges that are being faced in the education system are being solved, right? So how can we be able to get more access to international funding specifically for education now, right? Yes, we get some funding for development and for all those other things, but how can we be deliberate enough now to attract more funding for the education space, right? That would be able to solve some of the challenges and equip the teachers, like we have said, to ensure that they have the right skills. Okay, so another point I would like to mention, right, is how can the schools be equipped with the right set of tools and training resources? Like the technology advancement that is coming it keeps changing and it keeps evolving, and some of these schools are left way behind. So how can people step up, collaborate, and be able to do a lot of things together to ensure that the schools are, like, even if they don't have the right resources, can they partner with other schools, with other NGOs to ensure that they have the right tools, right? So those are some of the points. And then as I wrap up, like I said earlier, resilience is beyond just bouncing back, but being able to move forward rapidly and grow, having that growth mindset that no matter how many times you feel, that you can still bounce back and get to that peak that you want to get to. So take my story that I mentioned at the beginning, for instance, right? No matter where you start from, no matter the challenges you're going through, just understand that you can grow beyond that point. You just have to keep showing up, keep being committed, and yes, you get there. So yes, I would just wrap up there. So I don't know if you have any questions from the comments, or if Damilare has like questions for me.
So thank you so much, Damilola. You've really dealt with being resilient as both an individual and also as an educator, and you really shared a lot of insights. I love your presentations. The graphics, speaks. All the graphics you've used actually speak points and emphasize on a particular image that portrays what you've been saying. Thank you so much for taking the time to really come and share with us how to be resilient and how we could really pave way for the future by being resilient. And I believe that our audience now know that it's not just about rising and falling, falling and rising back. That's being resilient. There are a lot of things attached to being resilient and how to really get themselves ready for what the future holds. Thank you so much for giving us this time to share with us and taking the time to work on presentation. It's so nice. And people were the comments. Thank you, Damilola from Marvelous. So I'm very sure that people have actually gotten a lot of information from you. Now going forward, they know what to do to be resilient and how to get themselves prepared for the future. Just like one of our speakers mentioned yesterday about being self-aware, you need to know what works for you. You also highlighted that point too, that what works for you, how best can you make yourself aware of this is what I need, this is what I need to do to be resilient, and this is what I need to work on myself. Is am I doing too much? Am I doing too less? These are the kind of things to factor into your decisions and then your actions as you go forward in life. So being a resilient educator, expert, squad administrator, or whatever you do in the educational space. So thank you so much once again, Damilola. It was so nice having you to share with us today from your words of knowledge and from the expertise, even from what you do at TCK Zone. So thank you so much. And if you have any follow-up question, I'm gonna send them as email to you. I'm gonna keep in touch with you. Thanks so much.
Okay, so let me leave you with these words, right? So the most important skills like students should learn today isn't just how to pass an exam, but how to keep going even when things get tough,
right? I feel every student should learn that. So thank you so much, Damala. Thank you, Damilare. Thank you for having me. Yes,
So,
I had a wonderful time.
Yeah, I love the giveaway. I love the just that key point that students really need to hear that you are not defined by grades. So no discourse that does not really define you. So you should get to know what you can do with when things happen. So that's thank you so much for sharing that. I think that's a very powerful takeaway. It just give us a boom, boom, and then we are going to make use of that effectively. Thank you so much for joining us once again, and do enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll be in touch for a follow-up question.
Okay. No problem. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, guys, and we've come to the end of ED-volution Summit 2.0. It's been so nice, engaging with you guys for the past couple of hours, and even yesterday it was really an amazing moment to learn, relearn, and even unlearn. So I want to use this medium to thank all our partners, our sponsors, the team who really put this together. They've been working like a lot behind the stage, and they were able to make things come to reality. So it's been so nice. And personally, I've learned, I've met more other people from this platform, and I want to really network. And marvelous, let's not on it. Okay, thank you. We wish, but let's just end it. We continue again next time. So I just wanted to keep you in the loop that we'll be having a webinar series to talk more about technological solutions and how they work effectively, or as an educator or as a school, what kind of tool can you make use of to make your learning being transformed or being revolutionized. So we have this kind of webinar series that will be going on our social media platforms. So follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, Instagram. We are all on this platform. Just search for LearnTech Africa or LearnTech Initiative Africa. You're gonna see us there. Then you get to learn more about initiatives, our campaigns, what we do, where we are, where we are going next. You get to see all those on our social media platform. Thank you once again for joining us, and we are going to reach out to everyone who has been who got all our questions right during the quiz section. We are going to send your gift to you. So we have plans for that. Just look out for a message or email. It could be on social media, it could be via email. We are going to reach out to you to get your stuff to you. So thank you so much, everybody. It's been so nice hosting this event, and it's a lot, but I could tell that this is the future of education: relearning, unlearning, and learning more. So this is what we need to drive a very substantial future for everyone. Thank you once again, everybody, and see you guys at ED-volution Summit 3.0. All right. Don't let us drop the last comment. The most important skill students can learn today isn't just how to pass an exam; it's how to keep going when things get hard. Thank you, Dami, for such wonderful takeaway. So, all right, guys. Bye. See you next time.